What's the big drama, OMG drama? H3 is live right now talking about his relationship with Hasan Piker. So, welcome everybody. Welcome one, welcome everybody. This was very impromptu, and we are going to watch H3H3 talk about this. He's already started, but I am going to rewind it, and I'm going to play it on 1.25 speed so we can catch up, okay? That is big. It is. It's very big. All right. You guys ready? All right. Let's get started. Hi, Mr. Wu King. Hi, M60. Hi, Common Cure. Hello, all the regulars here. Okay. Everybody's an asshole except for Ethan here, okay? All right. So, let's just get started.
This is not something you're interested in. Obviously, I understand. I would suggest you refer to timestamps or catch our Friday show if you don't want to watch this. Totally understand. Before I begin, I would like to address a couple of points that I know will be brought up. One, that I hear a lot. Why don't you talk to Hasan about this privately? I did text him a couple weeks ago after I saw the clip of him saying that he had no problem with Hezbollah. I texted him that I thought it was pretty disappointing and disturbing the way that he was, I'm on no sleep, sorry. What's the word? He was hyping up Hezbollah. And granted, when I texted him that, I said, you know, you don't have to respond to me. I totally understand because it's unsolicited.
True. Please hit the like button, guys. Please hit the like button, okay? Hasan is no authority on morals, yeah. So, yes, I think Ethan's finally coming out with it. I mean, yeah, let's see. Let's see what he has to say. I think my opinion is Hasan has been living in his millionaire, mansion, okay, in California. He's pretty much had a silver spoon since the day he was born. And, I'm sure he deals with his fair amount of, racism or bigotry or whatever. But I think he's incredibly out of touch with the average person. And he's completely out of touch with anything politics wise. Have you noticed it's only only these communists who are super sheltered that are communists? Only the super sheltered rich people are communists, I feel, Anyways, I tweeted that I'm live. Please click like on the tweet, retweet it if you will. I think it's going to be a good stream today, okay?
Criticism, I get it. But I was kind of hoping to open the door to a more personal conversation. He did not reply, which I took as basically just we're on the opposite sides of this issue and talking isn't going to really help, which I get. And I agree. That's probably where we're at, unfortunately. But I did try. And again, not to blame him because I said you don't have to respond, just so you know. I felt I needed to tell you this. So it's not like that's what happened, okay? And in fact, we haven't spoken in a few months. We've spoken very little since the show ended. Obviously, this is what I don't like. I've been taking these stupid little pot shots at him and Instagram stories and stuff. Something happened over the past few days that really set me off and made me get kind of just determined to finally just do this once and for all. So obviously things have gotten more strained between us as time has gone by. And after some recent events, which I'll get into, I find it impossible not to say anything. People don't need to speculate about our relationship, about our opinions about each other. I just want to address it now openly, bluntly. As a person, as a friend, I respect Hasan. I don't think you need to choose between us. It's not like that. In fact, it's not personal at all. I am seeing a concerning rise in anti-Semitism and a normalization of it in a way that I don't think Hasan is anti-Semitic, but I do think that stuff he does contributes to it.
He absolutely does.
However, I hope that
absolutely does. And I know he's saying it's not personal, but it is. If you are a Jewish person and you see a friend who is helping contribute to anti-Semitism, this rise in anti-Semitism, of course it would be personal. Just like for me, I feel like if I see friends contributing to all of this racism against immigrants, or I see friends contributing to, the jokes about Indian people being now in, or saying that mixed race, kids are child abuse, I would take that personally too. I would okay, I know that you as a person don't feel this way. Maybe you're just joking, but how can you not see how this affects me? How can you not see how this hurts me, right? And so he says it's not personal, but honestly, I wouldn't blame him if it were, You
will watch this through. I believe it's well supported, and I feel that it will be persuasive if you listen to what I'm saying. So please at least give me the due. Give me your ears for a moment to hear me out. And feel free to disagree with me all you want. But yeah, but again, it's not, Hasan can do better. He can conduct himself.
There's also a rise of Islamophobia, unfortunately. Look, I believe you and I agree with you, but I will say that there are certain people in our community that do not make it easier for us. And we need to get to kicking those people the out,
better, in my opinion. You know, it's possible that we could be friends again down the line, or not that we stop being friends, but we could be friendly again or more on talking terms. I don't know, down the line. But at the moment, he is like the lead. He's kind of like the most prominent voice on this issue. So it's not personal. It's literally just addressing where this is all coming from. Another comment that I read all the time that I want to address up front, and it's kind of the heart of all the problems that I'm having here, is that I hear all the time, in fact, this was the top comment on a thread on our subreddit, is that with all the terrible things happening in Gaza, I can't bring myself to care about anti-Semitism, which I understand the sentiment, right? There are terrible things happening in Gaza. However, these are the people who are nonstop trying to convince everybody that Zionism is not Judaism and convince themselves that we don't hate Jews, we just hate Zionists. So when I complain about anti-Semitism, why is it that it always goes back to Israel? It seems that they're the ones that are confused about Zionism and Judaism. Because again, if I'm complaining about anti-Semitism, what does that have to do with Gaza, or what does that have to do with Gaza?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Apparently, according to them, nothing, if they're not related. This is a confusion that is at the root of the problem I'm having of contributing and rising anti-Semitism that I'm seeing, is this usage of the word Zionism, which is basically become a catch-all. It doesn't.
It has. And I think that's also a huge problem. When you start using one word as a catch-all, if you start equating Zionism with Zionism, you've gone down the wrong path, okay? What is Zionism? People think it's it's only one thing. There are different flavors of Zionism. There are different types of Zionism. If you look at the earliest type of Zionism, not the earliest type, but the father of like the modern Zionist movement, it was a guy who saw that Jews were persecuted in every country that they were in. No matter what country they were in, they were always persecuted as long as they were the minority. And his thought was, you know, after seeing Jews persecuted for thousands of years, maybe the only way that we avoid persecution is by having our own country where we are the majority. And even then, Israel is 25% Muslim. I believe 20 to 25% Muslim. And a huge portion of the citizens in Israel, at least half, are Arab. It's becoming the Z word. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And so, like, don't get me wrong. You know, I've been part of my pro-Palestine, you know, groups in college, you know. I was going to pro-Palestine protests in college. I was doing all that shit. But don't kid yourself and act like there is not some anti-Semitism that we've seen, especially recently, rise up. Don't kid yourself that you think that Zionism means one thing and nothing else. It is actually a legitimately very complicated movement. Like, there are anti-Semitic Zionists, yes, and there are a variety of different Zionist like thoughts for different reasons. But the main person who kind of created the resurgence in Zionism was somebody who wasn't even doing it out of religiousness, right? He was doing it because he saw the persecution of Jews through centuries. And so don't get me wrong. Like, again, I have a very long history of having been pro-Palestine. I have a very long history of like caring about the rights of people who have been trampled on, right? I have a very long history of it. But in no world do I think that Jews don't have a right to exist in that area. In no world do I think that the idea of Israel doesn't deserve to exist, right? Like, I think it deserves to exist. I think if you know what, if believing that Israel in some form should exist, if Israel in some form or a land for the Jewish people should exist, I guess I'm a filthy Zionist then, even though I have a history of being pro-Palestine for most of my life. So, you know, like, I don't know what to say, you know? Call me a filthy Zionist if you want. But yeah, like, and to act like there isn't like legitimate anti-Semitism happening in these movements is, you have to be blind. There is. Even when I was in college and I was talking to friends who were part of the pro-Palestine group, part of this pro-Palestine club, okay? There were certain people who were floating around the Jews control everything narrative, only replacing it with Israel controls everything. I'm sorry, guys. Israel is one country. They are not that powerful, okay? We're the United States of America. Anyways, let's resume.
Mean much. And it has a whole spectrum of meaning. As I'll show, it can mean, like, if you look at a leftist Israeli, you ask them what Zionism is, they'll tell you, a lot of people tell you it's Western expansion, like settler expansionism, right? And they say, oh, I'm anti-Zionist, I'm against that. Where the idea of, like, you know, taking Israel off the map, they'd be like, that's insane. Like, obviously, no. So are they a Zionist? Or is it a Houthi pirate that Hassan's been hyping up, and a Houthi flag that says curse upon the Jews and to Israel? Is that Zionism? What does it mean? What does it mean? People call me a Zionist all the time on the internet. To what extent does it... the extent of my Zionism is this. Do I think Israel should be wiped off the map? No.
No, that's just a asking for another right, like, right? Like, do you believe that Palestinians deserve their own sovereignty, their own, like, land, their own governing system? Absolutely. Do you agree with the settlements on the West Bank? No. I mean, I don't, right? I don't agree with the settlements in the West Bank. I don't necessarily agree with expansionism, right? But does Israel, as it exists now, right? And remember, this is like 70 plus years of this country existing. There are multiple generations now who know nothing else other than Israel, right? Do I think they deserve to be wiped out? Are you kidding me? No, right? If this were any other group of immigrants, right? Let's say immigrants in America, right? My family came to America decades ago, right? And I am the first person, I'm part of the generation that does not know life outside of the United States. Yes, I visited India, but I've grown up, I was born and raised in America. Would you make that argument to me that, oh, you have to go back to India? America is for the Americans? Like, you know, like, are you, like, I don't know. Like, if somebody's been living there, it's crazy, you know? It's crazy to expect people to just give up everything that they've ever known because, oh, well, that's really Palestinian land. Well, we've got to come up with a solution now, a different solution, because clearly there are people who live there now, who've lived there for a while, who don't know anything else, and their parents don't know anything else, you know? I'm not going to go live in India. Are you serious? I have nothing in common with the average Indian.
That's the extent. And that's all it takes to hit me with that catch-all. You know what I mean? I find it's turned into a slur. I'm going to get into all that. I hope you guys will listen. I'm grateful to everybody who's a fan of both of us. I hope you will not take this personally. It's completely reasonable to be a fan of both of us. And I'm grateful that you're able to put aside whatever perceived differences we've had and able to enjoy both of us. If you decide you can't watch, understand, love you, know that processing things that are happening in the news is extraordinarily difficult. I will not judge anybody for walking away. Perhaps at this point in time, it's better for both of us if you do decide to do that. However, that being said, I do hope you listen to my presentation before deciding to depart. But once again, this is something in my heart that I feel I must communicate. And so that is what I'm doing. And I also want to say to everyone who's expressed their support to me over the past 2 days, I am extremely grateful. Thank you. There was a point when I felt like literally nobody supported me, and it was just my own community was like, I felt gaslighting me. And
I felt so bad for Ethan during this. I feel like the dude, you know, whatever gripes you have with the guy, like, legitimately, there is legitimate anti-Semitism on the rise. And people don't realize, even if somebody is white presenting or whatever, or you consider the Jewish people in America white, right? Anti-Semitism is one of the most pervasive conspiracies and one of these pervasive ideologies in society. And it is widespread. And so, you know, I didn't even realize until I was like 18 how ingrained anti-Semitism is in just everyday people talking to each other. I think ethno-state should be illegal straight up. Israel's proof that will never work, but it's not an ethno-state. 20% of Israel is Muslim. That's the thing. 20% of Israel is Muslim. Half of Israel is people of Arab origin. People are saying that Ethan is racist against Arabs when his wife has tons of Arab lineage in her.
Just completely on my beliefs. However, there was a very hopeful push towards some more healthy discourse that I felt encouraged by, and I want to thank the people who did that. And so thank you. Yeah. Also, I want to say to Hasan that
So I'm just saying, if you're going to tell people, if you're going to tell an Israeli person who doesn't know anything else other than Israel, who only knows Israel and has only ever lived in Israel, if you're going to tell them that, oh, you have to go back to Europe or you have to go back to whatever country you came from, which half of them, remember, half of them are Arab. So half of them, you're sending them back to countries where they are going to be discriminated against. If you're going to do that to them, what's the difference between you doing that to them and doing it to me? You can have problems with Israel as a country. You can have problems with Israel as their governing body, right? I certainly do, right? Women, Jewish women in Israel have less rights than most men of, whether they're Jewish or Muslim, right? When it comes to marriage, right? There's plenty of stuff to be critical of Israel for, West Bank settlements, etc., right? But no, I don't think that they deserve to be wiped off the map. Are you serious? You want to send them back to where they came from? Where is that now? Where exactly is that? Why don't you send me back where I came from, right? Like, it's just offensive to me. It's offensive. The rhetoric behind it is offensive. And I just find it offensive.
I appreciate all the times you've defended me from your community. I know I'm not one to hold someone responsible for what their fans do, as you probably know that, our audience does crazy shit. However, I do think that while you tell everybody to, leave me alone or whatever it is you say, that's your rhetoric, your tone.
No, Amsterdam, I agree with you, but I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing with people who are way more extreme, who do want it to be wiped off the map. I firmly believe in a two-state solution. There is still a lot of anti-Semitism in the Middle East today, and I don't think it's feasible to have a one-state solution. But yeah, for Israel, yeah, I would want them to give non-Jews equal rights, obviously. And I would want them to give Jewish women equal rights to Jewish men, right? And equal rights to Muslim men.
The way you carry yourself on this topic is the reason why I'm being harassed by so many people online, a large part of your audience. So let's start from the beginning. Here's an album of the stories.
Palestinians don't want a two-state solution. That's true. Highly slip. I was not retired. Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't know. I find the rhetoric incredibly disgusting. I find it incredibly xenophobic. I find it incredibly, I don't know. I find it, whenever people share that map, right, of Jewish land ownership, they say, oh, this is Israel's expansion, when really it's literally Jewish land ownership. That's all it is. They're saying this is how Israel's taken over, when it's literally people who are buying land. That map is anti-Semitic. There's plenty to criticize Israel for, but there is so much misinformation out there. There is so much just blatant lies that are floating around. There is so much disgusting rhetoric. And, I would think twice about it. If you're one of these people who's super extremist, who thinks that Israel shouldn't exist, that it should all just be one Palestine, and that if Israelis feel threatened by them being surrounded by countries that hate Jews, then they should just go somewhere else. Well, you know what? Maybe say that to my face, you idiot, all right? Racist piece of shit, Say that to my face. Oh, if you don't like it, you should just go somewhere else, or you can go back to India. Yeah, say that to my face.
Just to catch you guys up.
At this point, should Israel have, been there? I don't know. But at this point, it's there, okay? You're not going to wipe it off the map, because that would just be another type of well, what you have to do is come up with feasible solutions. It doesn't matter whether you think Israel should have existed in the first place. It exists now. There are people who've been living there for generations. There are people who don't know anything else. So I think it's just insensitive to simplify this issue. So I just think, again, if you're going to say that to people, again, there's plenty of criticism to go around for the Israeli government. There's plenty of criticism to go around for their policies in the West Bank. There's plenty of criticism to go around for historically what they've done, right? At this point in time, they exist. There's not going to be any wiping them off the map, okay? You can't tell people to go back to where they came from when that's all they know. If you're going to do it, say it to my face, all right? Advocacy should be for citizens to all have the same rights. Advocacy should be for Palestinians to have their own sovereignty, their own nation, their own government, and for them to work alongside with Israel and to have their own ability to advocate for themselves, you know? That's what it should be. I wish Israelis could live with us before, like we did before Israel happened. Why can't we just live together, guys? I just want to go back to my home country. I empathize with you, Chris. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm very, very empathetic towards, like, you know, Palestinians who have been, who lost their homes, right? Palestinians who lost their homes from, you know, either the threat of violence or they were scared that there was going to be war between the Middle Eastern countries and Israel. You know, I'm very, very empathetic towards that, right? But right now I have a huge problem with extremists. I see literal extremists in Hasan's chat and extremists on Twitter advocating for what is basically equivalent to basically saying exactly that they want to wipe Israel off the map. You know, that's my issue, right? It's my issue is not with people who are reasonable, who have like, who, you know, have like understandable asks, right? And understandable gripes, right? But I'm not talking about people. My issue is not with people who want equal rights. My issue is not with people who want Israel to stop certain practices like West Bank settlements or other things like that, aggression, etc., right? My issue is not with them. My issue is with people who are quite literally saying that they want to wipe it off the map, that people should just go back to where they came from. Also, one shouldn't suppose pre-1948 Palestine was a peaceful utopia. Neither the British nor Ottomans were exactly fair. Yeah, I would agree with that. It wasn't exactly a peaceful utopia. I agree with that. But the extremists are such a privileged non-issue, though, that they're not a non-issue. Extremists are not a non-issue. Extremists on Twitter and in Hasan's chat are an issue because they are literally like spewing anti-Semitism. They are doing the whole Jews control everything. Jews pull the strings on our government, but with extra steps and just replacing Jews with like Israelis or Zionists, right? I guarantee they don't have that much power, guys. They don't, okay? They have more power relative to Palestinians, absolutely. But yeah, I'm sorry. The Jewish Israelis are controlling everything and controlling our government. I don't buy it. These are not non-issues, okay? These are people who are literally pushing more anti-Semitism. Jewish people were there though, and it wasn't an issue. I wouldn't say it wasn't an issue, right? There was violence in certain areas. There were Jewish people who were dealing with violence and Palestinian people were dealing with violence, and yeah. So the extremists also damage your own cause and make your side look like psychos. Amster damaged, I'm glad that you are surrounded by reasonable people, but I'm not talking about the reasonable people. I'm talking about the people who quite literally say to wipe it off the map.
This started with this tweet I saw. By the way, I pulled this last night just to see where it was at. When I posted it, it had like 30,000 likes. It says 90,000 likes, 2 million views. I never heard of this guy, but, or no, it's from, first of all, Comrade Casey. Yeah, that Comrade Casey, the guy who is a absolute creepy weirdo who was posting Hamas simping via love. It was so weird. This dude. Anyway, you guys remember that whole thing? He typed in and said, "Please stop talking about me," and while continuing to talk about me. Very good. And again, I'd also like to wonder what the is it exactly I've said or done to like belong in this image. I know what you're saying. Right?
Yeah, and here's the thing: Ethan has been somebody who's been very vocal, a very vocal advocate for Palestinians for a long time. And what has he received from Hasan's community in return? Nothing. This is some crazy level of cope, DSA Aaron. This is crazy levels of cope. Are you serious? Poor Bill Maher is getting Bill Maher can be a real asshole though sometimes. Again, reminder, Ethan's wife is Arab, right? Ethan's wife is Arab. She's Israeli, but her family is Arab. He was vocal for 2 seconds. You clearly haven't been following him very long then, have you? Because I remember Ethan, like, back years ago saying that he didn't like the Israeli government, that he disapproved of certain policies. She was also an IDF soldier. You know it's mandatory, right? Right, this person is getting... Can we get some mods in the Twitch chat? Because we are getting overrun with crazy... not even... we are getting overrun by like lefties. It's mandatory. IDF is mandatory. She was a secretary in the IDF. Do you think the Druze, the Muslims, and the Druze that live in Israel who volunteer to be in the IDF are evil too? Like, I don't know. LOL, so bad at arguing you need to ban everyone who doesn't agree with you? No. I don't need to ban everybody who disagrees with me. I'm banning people who are being dicks, right? Saying that, oh, they served in the IDF, that makes them evil, is not right. I'm sorry. When you're an 18-year-old kid and everybody you know has been in the IDF and everybody you've ever known will be in the IDF, and it is basically the equivalent of being like a social outcast who refused to join the IDF, then yes, it is mandatory. It's mandatory in the country, but also there is immense social pressure to be part of the IDF. The average 18-year-old does not have willpower that is strong enough to fight against that. I'm sorry, they just don't. They just don't. And it hinders in their job opportunities later as well. It's not the same. I'm sorry. The average 18-year-old is immensely vulnerable to social pressure. Yeah, and you go to prison if you don't comply, and your future job opportunities are hindered significantly. Okay, anyways, let's resume this.
I done? I continually ask myself, why am I being held up with these group of people? And anyway, Comrade Casey said, I'm assembling a team. This guy, Hasan Piker, said, I hope they commit squad. And which I found, I'm like, wow, okay, so 90,000 likes telling me myself for a belief. And again, this is part of the problem. Like, what have I done? Like, why am I in these memes getting 2 million views of me telling me myself? Because apparently I'm like anti-Islam or I hate Gaza or whatever. I mean, Asmongold was just blasted for saying horrible shit about like, I don't remember the verbatim, but he said something like Muslim culture or Arab culture is inferior, which is insane, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to reiterate to the chat, okay? Especially Twitch chat, since we're being flooded by insane lefties, okay? I was pro-Palestine probably before you guys knew what Palestine was, okay? Grow the up, okay? I was in college. I was part of the pro-Palestine movement there. I was in DC. We were doing protests, okay? Doing pro-Palestine protests there too. You guys are disconnected from reality if you think that your rhetoric has anything that does anything for the pro-Palestine movement. You are disconnected from reality. You are hurting the pro-Palestine movement, and you should go crawl into a hole and never come back, okay? Tanky pieces of subhuman pieces of there are 50 people here. You are losing it. I am not losing it, bro. You know, and to act like there isn't any anti-Semitism in the pro-Palestine movement, when I saw it, when I was in the pro-Palestine movement in college, and even prior to college, okay, because I come from a Muslim family, and don't worry, we all hear about Palestine, okay? Growing up as a Muslim, you hear about Palestine, okay? Don't act like when you go to these pro-Palestine meetups, and you go to these pro-Palestine clubs, that there isn't a couple of bad apples in there trying to go with their anti-Semitic. They're trying to be real covert about it, but they're there, okay? Don't act like it. You need to kick those people out.
It's insane. When have I ever said anything like that? You know what I mean? Never. Okay? So, but since when is telling people to themselves like normal? And again, part of the irony of this whole thing is that on the left, they're basically willing to undermine everything they believe in. I guess...
Only a few bad apples, and that's the only thing Ethan sees? Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the issue, guys. Okay? You can say that Ethan only sees a few bad apples, right? But Twitter has turned into a cesspool of racism and anti-Semitism, okay? And I don't blame him when you've got a major online content creator who is pushing anti-Semitism. You've got a major, you know, or allowing for it to grow in his community, right? I don't blame him for that. I get like bothered when there are only a few bad apples out there who are probably racist against Indian people, right? But I still see tweets every day that get tens of thousands of likes that are shitting on Indian people. I still see tweets every day talking about how evil race mixers are. I see tweets every day about just racist, okay? It's still gonna bother you like crazy.
At the behest of going after Zionists because they see Zionists as subhuman. They see them as They've given each other permission and consent and the green light to essentially target whoever they perceive as Zionists with whatever abuse they deem necessary, because they're killing children and innocent people in Gaza. That is my problem.
Okay, but
anyway,
here's the thing, you guys, 90%, you can say that, right? That, oh, Israel does not represent Judaism, okay? 90% of Jews, 90% are Zionists of some sort of type. Do you know what a Zionist even is? Because at its most basic level, it's just somebody who believes that Israel has a right to exist in some form or the other, right? And there are a lot of different types of Zionism. It's not all ethno-nationalism. In fact, again, half of Israel is Arab. 20% of Israel is Muslim. There are multiple meanings of Zionism. There are different types of Zionism. And you guys are incredibly, like, short-sighted here. Zionism is not white supremacy when half of the people who are in Israel are Arab, okay? They're Arab Jews. No, you know what? It's good for me that we've got some people in here that are real pissed, okay? I like it. Thank you for giving me the content, okay? I love you guys in Twitch chat, all right?
I responded to this tweet telling me myself with 90,000 likes. I said, deranged, telling me myself with 36,000 likes at the time, 36. What exactly as I said or did? Nobody has ever been able to tell me. Moving on to the next one. It made me think of this tweet from our wonderful Houthi pirate, the cute Houthi pirate that Hasan interviewed. And I remembered this tweet he put out. Just a cute tweet from our favorite Houthi. Same people telling me to myself, love this guy. And that's true. They do. They love him. Hasan interviewed him. He hypes him up even as recent as like this week, okay? This is a tweet he put out. The execution that we will carry out on all Zionists. And it features somebody whose arms is tied behind their back and they've been impaled by a spike through their asshole and up and through their mouth. Now, I would like to know what people go, Hasan talked to him and he said he's not a Houthi and he says he doesn't hate Jews. Why is it you understand how this works with every other minority group? Like, do you really think that if I asked this guy, like, tell me what do you think a Zionist is, that he would have some nuanced answer about the difference? I mean, as you'll see.
Don't comment on the Israelis sterilizing Ethiopian Jews, Stardust. Yeah, I have an issue with that, Raven Soul. But again, if you were here for the entirety of the stream, I said that I have plenty of issues with Israel in general. I have plenty of issues with the Israeli government and their policies. That doesn't mean that I think Israel should be wiped off the map. That doesn't mean that I think people in Israel should go back to where they came from or whatever the fuck you guys say, right? That doesn't mean anything. I can disagree with the Israeli government. I can disagree with the extremist parts of the Israeli government. I can disagree with them settling in the West Bank. I can disagree with them expanding into other territory and still think that they don't deserve to be wiped off the map. I can still, say that. I'm sorry, but some of you guys are actually delusional if you don't think that there is blatant anti-Semitism in some of these movements. And to say that, like, oh, the Arab Jews were only brought into it afterwards, you want to know why they were brought into it. They were brought into Israel because they were facing persecution in the countries that they were in. So yeah, I'm pro equal rights for everybody in Israel. I'm pro, Palestinians getting equal rights in Israel. I'm pro Jewish women getting equal rights in Israel because, again, Jewish women have less rights than some Muslim men. So yeah, I'm all about it. But again, if you don't think that there is a serious issue in the movement and that there are cancerous people in the movement that we need to cut the out, then yeah, you're blind. And if you don't think that there isn't reasonable, fears that, Israeli people have in that region, you also need to, touch grass, get in touch with reality.
This kid is a rampant anti-Semite and a violent Houthi terrorist, which I will prove to you guys, in my opinion, beyond a shadow of a doubt. However, so like this kind of rhetoric, frankly, disgust and scare.
Again, I don't know what is wrong with Twitch chat. You guys seem to think like it doesn't matter how long I've been pro-Palestine for, right? It just is. Why am I getting phone calls? It doesn't matter how long or how ardently I say I've been pro-Palestine. It doesn't matter that, like, I grew up in a Muslim household and it was basically raised pro-Palestine. It doesn't matter anything about that. Just because I give Ethan or H3H3 the tiniest amount of support, you guys lose your. Is that it? Just because I'm critical of Hasan's community and the people that he allows to kind of like fester in his community, you guys lose your shit at me? Like, Grow up. Grow up. I'm browner than your favorite streamer daddy. I'm browner than, your favorite mod for your streamer daddy, okay? Eat my ass.
Here's me. People call me a Zionist. People call my wife a Zionist. It's my family. This is my children's life, okay? And this is a guy someone who I considered a friend, is talking about how cute and funny and awesome he is. Well, the immediate reaction to this was our subreddit getting mobbed by Hasan fans, and probably snarkers, overwhelming the comments, overwhelming it. Now, here's where they say, top comment, this dude isn't a Houthi. He literally said it in an interview with Hasan. Like, how obtuse are you, seriously? Like, David Duke says he's not a Klan member and he doesn't.
I'm just wondering why you spend so much time on Israel getting wiped off the map. Because that's what he's concerned about. Because there are literal people saying crazy on Twitter about, like, wiping Israel off the map and getting tens of thousands of likes. Are you serious?
Doesn't actually hate black people. It's like, okay, so I guess he doesn't. Like, are you
dumb? Do you think that there's a reasonable bridge towards, like, peace when you've got one of the most persecuted populations in history throughout the centuries who are reasonably paranoid about being persecuted because of the Holocaust, right? And you've got people saying incredibly vile on social media about them. Do you think that there's a path towards peace with that? I don't.
Okay, I'm getting too emotional. I'll calm it down. But yeah, obviously, he isn't a Houthi. He literally said it to Hasan. Okay, great. Also, this is the part that they go after. This tweet is fake. Just like Ethan, you morons have been duped. Now, I'm thinking to myself, I saw this tweet. I remember it. This is a real tweet. What's going on here? Then people uncritically start accepting it. Wait, for real? Jesus Christ, the misinfo is nuts. Then they respond, yes, and psychophants that are willing to believe Muslim Arabs are inherently evil will fall for this, like Ethan. Now, excuse me. I said this kid's a piece of shit, and all you heard was Arabs are evil. I mean, what the is wrong with you, dude? Like, why is that what you heard? Continuing, here's a Hasan. Both of these, this guy's a Hasanabi head flare. Honestly, it's really sad watching Ethan slip into this rabbit hole and showing his bias. Brings back memory of that Forsaken Leftovers episode when he wouldn't even engage with Palestinian plight and kept saying, what about Israel? I don't know what he's talking about exactly, but essentially, they've all, and this is just an excerpt, but the whole chat was like, this is misinfo. Ethan's like,
anti-Semitism out of my free Palestine. Hell yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
Lying. And this kid is innocent. He would never tweet this. He would never, ever tweet this. Moving on to the next one. I did a tiny bit of research and I found the archive, thankfully. I would have lost my mind if I didn't, because I swear I saw it. Here's the tweet. It happened. The execution that we will carry out on all Zionists. Here it is from this kid, July 23rd, 2024. By the way, he's banned on all social medias, and there's a reason for that. It's because he's a terrorist and he posts shit like this. Okay?
Lee Slip isn't a mod. I don't know what you're crying about, Raven.
I said, so now that we've proven it's real, I suppose we'll see a lot of apologies and corrections. Of course, we did not see that. But kind of what continues to shock me is, people on the left are so hypercritical of MAGA people being like divorced from reality and not listening to reason and not acknowledging facts and kind of just thinking, and whatever they think is real, they speak and it becomes real. That's literally what just happened in that chat. I posted something that was true, and because it went against their dogma, they swarmed our subreddit to accuse me of lying with zero evidence, and people uncritically believed them. That to me is disturbing.
Here's a question, Raven. Do you support Hamas? Like he's talking about infested with Hamas. He's not talking about infested with anything else but a terrorist group. Do you have a problem with that? Like, Americans have been saying to glass Muslim countries for my entire life, Zoo. Again, I grew up Muslim post 9/11. I am 100% there with you, okay? And I don't think it's right. But to act like, no, if someone says to glass Israel in response and everyone goes, that is absolutely not correct. People say to glass Israel all the time, and I don't see anybody giving a fuck about it. So I don't know. Maybe we're just operating in different circles. I don't know. But I see both, and I don't think it's acceptable, and I don't think that we should allow for it to be acceptable on either end.
And that to me is dangerous. Here's a post that, again, doesn't have a lot of engagement, but I was struck by the fact that it had minus likes. Excuse me.
I just don't want people to die. I wish I was older and have way more power to somehow stop all the pain and suffering. Call me naive, but I really wish I could do that, Stars. No, I'm with you on that, Chris. I feel like I have crazy people in my Twitch chat. That's all. Okay. I don't know if that one circle is way bigger, Zoo. I don't know about that. Hamas is only a terrorist group because you were a racist. Oh, okay. I'm a racist. All right. Hamas is a terrorist group because they torture their own civilians. If you did any reading on Hamas, you would have known 10 years ago that Amnesty International wrote an article about Hamas taking several Palestinians who were protesting and torturing them in one of the local hospitals. That was written 10 years ago. Hamas still does this to this day. Like 2 summers ago, the Palestinian people, before any of this happened with Israel, before the current situation, Palestinian people were protesting against Hamas 2 summers ago. So yeah, Hamas, like, yeah, it's bad. My bad. So do you really think that there's just as many people who hate Jews as there are that hate Middle Eastern brown people? I don't know the answer to that question, Zoo, because I have realized that anti-Semitism is incredibly ingrained in society, and it is ingrained across all sorts of cultures and all sorts of countries. So I don't know the answer to that question. They couldn't have removed Hamas from power because they were being tortured by them. There were like 5 people who were executed 2 summers ago because they were seen as ringleaders or whatever of the protests that happened in Palestine and Gaza. You have an end. Okay. All right. Guys, stop. We're going to resume watching Ethan. Okay. We're going to comment on what he's saying here. Okay.
They said, I'm getting over something nasty. This person said, so all the hate speech and threats of violence are fine because there's other horrendous violence. It's okay for everyone to post violent hate speech because violence exists. Please explain. Things can be bad without there being a comparison.
A lot of people in chat are putting words in Stardust's mouth. Yeah, they are. It is what it is, though.
A zero-sum game. I don't want atrocities, cruelty, and violence, and I don't want hate speech all over social media. Being downvoted because I guess you guys are okay with seeing people threaten to spare people alive. All hate stuff is bad is apparently a controversial opinion. This world is so fucked. And this person was getting downvoted. And it's like, dude, this is in my own community. The consensus I should just take the anti-Semitism and keep moving, and how dare I even complain or acknowledge it, is so absurd. I invite you to imagine even saying that to another minority group.
Yeah, and then it's just ridiculous, right? Like, you wouldn't tell anybody to just suck it up and deal with it, you know?
Applauded and upvoted and cheered on for it.
Star, no matter what you say, they have some stupid Hasan talking points to rebuff you with. They are robots. They don't even know what they're saying. That might be true. That might be true. I feel like I've, I used to be like I just think that this is not the solutions that people are throwing out here are not feasible. Again, when did I say that Israel did anything right? I've criticized Israel several times. It's like the whole, I like pancakes. Oh, so you hate waffles. It's that thing. You guys are brain dead. Do you have any critical thinking skills? Is just because I say one thing bad, Hamas is bad, that I'm saying that Israel is good? Is that really, guys? Do you really think that? I said because Hamas bad, all of Israel's policies are good. When I've said throughout this conversation that I have problems with some of Israel's policies, that I've been very, empathetic towards Palestinians. Really? No critical thinking skills here, guys? This particular topic is just cancer, Star? Yeah, it is cancer, but it's not, Hambone. I was very vocal about my problems with Israel's stuff early on in this conversation. I didn't even bring up Hamas until somebody in chat brought up Hamas. Literally Hamas did not leave my mouth until somebody in chat brought it up. So you're putting words in my mouth. It's the whole, I say one thing is bad, then I must think the other thing is good, which is not true. Your empathy doesn't matter. You only see one side as human. Bro, I'm from a Muslim family. We were literally raised being pro-Palestine. Are you kidding me? Literally was part of the pro-Palestine club at college. We climbed like poles in DC. We went to protests. Are you serious?
You know where you see that?
Go worship the Chinese Communist Party, okay? Don't talk to me.
Probably 4chan or, MAGA threads. Probably where you see white supremacists talking about other races and stuff that were there, shut up and take it. And once again, what does anti-Semitism have to do with Zionism? If I'm talking about anti-Semitism and your response is, I just don't care because of all this stuff happening in Gaza, how is it related? You're the one conflating Zionism and Judaism, and you do it all the time. Next. Here's another one, Hasanabi head. I thought Ethan said he wasn't a Zionist, right? Zionist, for real Zionism. He is. I mean, again, there's a famous clip of him calling the West Bank a Palestine terror city. I'm not sure what that one is, but again, I'm willing to address anything that comes up. I thought Ethan said he wasn't a Zionist. So they're saying, why should he care about... Hold on, let me make sure I'm doing this in order. So they're saying, in response to the spike, this person being impaled by a spike, and him saying, I want all Zionists like this, they say, why should Ethan care? He's not a Zionist. In fact, this is proof he's a Zionist because he doesn't like this. I thought Ethan said he wasn't a Zionist, right? Zionist. And again, reminder, this is a picture of someone being impaled from their asshole to their mouth. And people are saying Zionists, for real Zionists. These people are essentially co-signing these threats of violence while calling me a Zionist because I apparently care about people being spiked up the asshole. FBI crime stats, this came out, I think, just last month. Jews make up 2% of the population and 15% of hate crimes in America.
Yeah, that's crazy. And yeah, again, like, this is just America we're talking about, right? Don't get me wrong. I've seen my fair share of anti-Muslim sentiment. I, again, grew up in America pretty young. I witnessed 9/11, and I saw the difference in life before 9/11 and life after 9/11. And it was very different. I've had my family called the T word. I've been called the T word myself. I've witnessed people say horribly Islamophobic things to me, right? But things have gotten better. They have gotten better. Are they perfect? No. But we have to acknowledge, again, there is a rise in anti-Semitism, and this statistic is actually very worrying to me. 15%? 15% of all hate crimes are anti-Semitic?
Must be nice for people unaffected by anti-Semitism to tell Jews it doesn't matter. It must be nice to have that, to come from that place of moral superiority, and you're completely unaffected. It's quite stark. I mean, African-American hate crimes are still...
Canada here is really bad for anti-Indian right now. I've heard, yeah. I've heard. That's crazy.
Number one, but for the proportion of Jews making up like 2% of the population of America, the fact that they're number two is pretty stark. So again, you'll hear this kind of relates to a statement Hasan says. Maybe I'll pull it up now.
Isaac Gonzalez says, as a Mexican man, I've been all my life and I've never called for the murder of innocents. Yeah. If you don't have the money to take someone to court for a hate crime, it doesn't get filed that way. But this is not people filing to take people to court. This is just like FBI stats of crimes, right? It's still a crime. If a crime is committed against somebody, it doesn't not become a crime just because somebody doesn't take somebody to court.
Okay. One sec.
No, I'm not banning the tanky people in the Twitch chat because they're giving me chat engagement. So whatever, you know, they're helping me anyways.
Hasan says 16 in the doc. Here it is. One sec, you guys. 16 in the doc. This relates to this.
I think what's crazy about this
he's
is
talking
that, like,
about, I'll say at this point, I don't even remember what me and him were arguing about, but he's basically defending Frogan. Do you remember what happened, Dan? Is Dan there? What happened with Frogan? I literally don't even remember the details of it. You don't want to say. That's fine.
You unfollowed her.
I say what?
You unfollowed her, and then she talked about it in Discord.
Is that what he's talking about? Oh, this is from the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. So then that's what it's about. When I unfollowed her, and then she said I hate Arabs and stuff in Hasan's Discord. And instead of, and this is a mod on his channel, instead of, you know, having a word with her about, you know, what's going on, he actually chastised me. For what? Let's see.
Ethan is very frustrated and very emotional in this moment, but doesn't recognize that, like, perhaps
I could look
a
into
Lebanese
it.
woman who's a hijabi in the United States of America could also be very emotional in this exact same moment. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so... And the reality of the matter is, anti-Semitism is an unacceptable form of bigotry, whereas Islamophobia is a very acceptable form of bigotry. So being the bigger person in this situation, regardless of your feelings...
So anyway, and God forbid you actually read the chat. But what I'm hearing, frankly, is that anti-Semitism is not really an issue. And so you shouldn't, your complaints are less equal than Frogan's complaints because Islamophobia is more serious than anti-Semitism. Despite, by the way, the fact that, as I pointed out, in reality, or not the opposite, because there is Islamophobia, but like this claim that anti-Semitism doesn't exist because everybody knows it wrong, as I perceiving it, is absolutely false.
No,
I've never
especially
seen more.
not with Kanye West being like just a couple of years ago going on his whole anti-Semitic tirade, right?
Open anti-Semitism in my life, my whole life. The way that it's being normalized by the left and the right, and it's being kind of, you know, in a case like this, he's normalizing it. He's normalizing it. He's greenlighting it. Again, FBI.
You're not mad enough, Star? Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not mad enough, apparently. What happened to Bible Thump? This website is... Look, again, I feel like, don't get me wrong, post 9/11, we dealt with a lot of don't get me wrong. And I guarantee, I have said before, I'm sure Frogan deals with her fair share of, you know, bigotry, right? Being a visible minority, right? But it has gotten better, okay? At least in America, okay? It was very rough for a few years. Very, very, very rough for a few years, okay? It was not fun post 9/11. Let me just tell you. I remember still in high school, and that was years after in high school. You know, we had this like cultural performance in high school, and a bunch of Indian girls got up and did the dance. And there are these guys who were like calling them terrorists behind one of my friends, and she got super pissed off about it. And she was telling me, oh, I stood up for you. And I'm like, well, okay, well, I appreciate it, but yeah, it's just like, don't get me again, it was very bad, but it's gotten much better. And I can't lie and say that I don't think that there is a serious issue. I'm seeing a huge increase in anti-Semitism. I'm a little worried, okay? I didn't like it when it happened to me, okay? And Jewish people were pretty, I don't know, they were pretty chill, you know? And the LGBTQ community was also very, very chill, and they were some of the best advocates. And yeah, man, like, what am I gonna do? Turn around and when I see like an increase in another type of bigotry growing, like, I'm not gonna say something? Like, come on, guys. You know? Sorry, I'll leave Sorry, it's getting too much. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. I know it's emotional for you, and I appreciate you being here. And if it's getting too much for you, I'm sorry. I appreciate you. I love you a lot. Okay, so yeah. Let me see.
Stats. Jews are number 2. 2% of the population, 15% of all hate crimes. Okay? This is all I'm here. This is what I hear.
Crazy about
this to me is
that,
it's
like,
disgusting. Frankly, it's disgusting. It's a disgusting thing to say in the face of rising anti-Semitism, which once again, apparently has nothing to do with Zionism.
Ethan is...
So why is it, that like when Stop Asian Hate, that movement happened, when, these terrible hate crimes were happening to Asian people during COVID, of like random acts of violence in New York City and elsewhere, the people like Hasan, and left rallied behind them. Nobody said, well, there is a chance China let it out of a lab. So, maybe the problem is that you need to get a hold of China. Maybe you wouldn't be getting punched in the face if China wasn't locking down its country and whatever. That's what I hear from people like Hasan.
I just say real quick, there's a few things I want to say, but I want you to finish. I know you have a lot to get through, so I'd rather say it at the end, but there are a couple things.
Okay.
Wait in response.
Okay.
And very emotional in this moment, but doesn't recognize that, like, perhaps a Lebanese woman who's a hijabi in the United States of America could also be very emotional in this exact same moment. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so... And
once again, comparing actions, I quietly unfollowed her to avoid any problems. She was posting what I perceived as sympathetic posts, encouraging and glorifying Hamas violence against Israelis. Do you want to see it? I unfollowed her. She started making a huge scene, including going into Hasan's community as a moderator and saying, I hate Arabs. The actions are not equal.
Jesus
not even
Christ,
close.
I'm 60.
The reality of the matter is anti-Semitism is an unacceptable form of bigotry, whereas Islamophobia
Good job, Hasan. Unacceptable.
is a
Wait,
very
what?
acceptable form of bigotry.
Okay. Maybe in some circles it is acceptable, but for me it's unacceptable. And because bigotry is unacceptable in my circle, in the Stardust circle, I'm going to say that all of it's unacceptable, okay?
So again, her problem with Islamophobia is worth listening to. It's very real, and we have to listen to her. And frankly, she can't really do anything wrong, it seems like, no matter what, because she's emotional, or, she's a woman who's wearing a hijabi, he said. I don't know how to say it. Hijabi?
It's hijabi.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, what? She gets a pass on everything, and I never get to complain about anti-Semitism, even though Jews on a whole, according to FBI stats, there's more hate crimes against Jews than there are at this moment than Arabs or Muslims, according to the FBI stats. Now, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying what he's saying here is factually wrong. It's just an outright lie to make it seem like Jews are complaining about something that doesn't exist, even though they are. And it's a gaslighting campaign that continues to go on. That's my take on that part. Going back, I'm skipping around a little bit, trying to make sense, but we're getting there. We're getting there. If you guys want to look, the whole FBI census was posted recently, the new one, and it's interesting. I mean, check it out if you're interested. But
Where did all the
FBI
people
crime
go
stats
on YouTube?
On USA. Telling people that anti-Semitism doesn't matter must be awesome and nice when literally you don't care. Do you think it's normal? So now the question goes to, like, so first they said the tweet was fake about the killing Zionists with a pike. Okay, that's proven real. But then they say, well, he's not a Houthi pirate. He's just like a cool, awesome Yemenis kid who's kind of just like Good Kid, Mad City or whatever. Kendrick
It's Luffy,
reference.
yeah. I never watched One
Not
Piece.
now.
It scared me. The
Do you think it's
animation.
not? So I'd like to.
By the way, can I just say, when I tweeted out that Instagram story from Ethan talking about the Houthi kid himself liked the tweet and retweeted me. and replied with a salute emoji.
Explore that accusation that he is not a Houthi. Okay, let's look at some of the evidence. Here he is with the AK and combat fatigues. Now, in poverty-stricken Yemen, do you think it's possible to get Yemeni? Thank you, Yemeni, not Yemenis. Do you think it's possible? Or do you think it's likely to get an AK or an automatic assault rifle in Yemen?
Sorry, Star. I've been in Yemen with my good friend who watches One Piece. Well, glad to hear that. Hope you're safe, you know? Jesus. Can you... Okay, guys. Everybody needs to agree to disagree with each other in chat, okay? Agree to disagree, and let's watch the rest of this together, okay?
Poverty-stricken, if you're not affiliated with the Houthis, guns are expensive as and it's kind of surprising. Dude, and I just continue to, there's so much evidence, dude, it's Jew hating.
Oh my God.
Just say you support the Houthis, stand on your Again, I respect that. Just say you support the Houthis. Which Hasan
Have
does.
a good one, K-Hug.
We'll get to that. But so here he is with a rifle. And again, okay, maybe he found that. I don't know how you get a high-powered rifle in Yemen without being affiliated with the Houthis, living in Houthi territory, but maybe he found it. I don't know. Here he is on top of a boat. Ship, we bombed a ship. This is him on a boat in the sea that was commandeered by Houthis. Here he is. This is a translation that it wouldn't translate for me in the pictures, but feel free to do it. It says, ready to sacrifice, longing for martyrdom on top of a pirated vessel. Maybe he's talking about something else. I don't know. Longing for martyrdom, ready for sacrifice. Who knows? Maybe he's talking about...
I remember that kid also posting on TikTok, like calling somebody a son of a Jew or something. I was like, what? Son of a Jew? What does that even mean? He's using son of a Jew to insult people? Like, wait, is there something wrong with being a son of a Jew? He's using son of a Jew like he's saying son of a bitch. Like, what is going on? The Houthi kid. Like, bro, are you serious? Like, what? It literally was using son of a Jew in the same way that you would use son of a bitch. Like, Jesus.
Something else, you know? It's possible, right? Here he is singing a little ditty on TikTok.
Oh, here it is.
Do you threaten us with what we are waiting for, son of a Jew?
Yeah.
Nice little ditty there. Once again, clearly making a healthy distinction between Jews and Israelis. But just because he told Hasan through a translator once that he doesn't hate Jews, just Zionists, we're going to give him a pass. He's a good kid. And actually, we should prop him up. He's awesome. He's hot, by the way. Cute kid. So that's good. Yeah, that's up. And now I'm giving myself a note to look at number 12. One moment. Here he is. Now here, this is from a story. This is from the interview Hasan did with him. At the time, I have to admit, this interview blew my mind. I thought that this would be a bridge too far and that Twitch would step in and do something. He's interviewing a terrorist. And it's not that he's interviewing a terrorist, because I've seen Hasan try to deflect to saying, oh, CNN reached me, BBC reached me, they want to talk to him, therefore it's real journalism. Hasan did not ask him one critical question. In fact, the opposite. It was a complete puff piece where he sucked him off, elevated him, was uncritical. And even in the moments of absolutely insane statements like this, he essentially covers for him and acts like ignorant.
Chinese people, but one of the captain was Chinese, and he did clout with them, and he danced to music with them, and he was vibing, so he likes them. Yeah.
So I mean, what?
Yes, he just admitted to being a terrorist who's hanging out with hostages. That's literally just what happened.
Yeah, basically.
And Hasan knows it. That's why he's laughing a lot and trying to deflect.
That's so crazy.
Yes, it is.
So they're just chilling with the captains. Like, I don't understand.
You don't understand? Why would? Do you think anyone would just get access to hang out with like these hostages? Why would he be hanging out with hostages? I don't know. But Hasan does a good way of deflecting it and being like, oh, no, this is just funny, silly stuff. You know what I mean? Awesome. Moving on to the next part. Here's more terrorcore tweets, I like to call them, from our friend Cute. Luffy
Oh my
IRL.
God.
There's a couple more for you guys to enjoy. This one is whatever. This one is the ships we bombed and sank. Okay, not him, because he's not a Houthi, but apparently they bombed and sank stuff. To every Zionist, I will put this into your stomach. It's him once again. With assault rifle, looks like an AK-47.
Why does this look like a butt plug?
So that's the second threat he's made against Zionists.
This looks like a butt plug. Doesn't it? Looks like a butt plug
as
to
we
me.
know that he loves in his song, son of a Jew, we will you.
He's such a hero, hanging out with hostages and taking their liberty, but at least he's cool about it. Literally a Confederate argument, by the way. So true.
There's a healthy distinction here between Zionists and Jews, and therefore, why should I care at all?
Where'd all the tankies go in the Twitch chat?
Who's threatening Zionists?
Come back.
Who clearly has no healthy
me
distinction
some more.
between the two. And he continues to blur the lines between people who say Zionists and people who mean like normal-ass people who aren't like committers, and opening the door to rampant, blatant, open anti-Semitism of the guys using the slur Zionism, which has no meaning, no definition, because it's so broad, it's so nebulous, it means nothing. And it can be employed 1,000 different ways, 1,000 different people, and people use it just as a matter of fact, like everybody knows what it means. People started calling Bernie Sanders and AOC Zionists. I forget why, but they did something that everyone perceived as being pro-Israel or something, and now they're Zionists. And you know, it's like, well, I know AOC's not a Zionist.
Yeah, she's
You know what I mean?
certainly
But according
not.
to him, we need to kill her. We need to put her on a spike. We need to put AOC on a spike, kill her, shoot her with a gun. That's what Hasan thinks is not a problem. Moving on. So I don't know. Is he affiliated with the Houthis? I mean, listen, at this point, I believe that it's impossible to deny. I do. I think it's impossible to deny that this kid is affiliated, deeply involved with the Houthis. He's on ships. He's blowing up ships. He's hanging out with hostages. He's walking around with guns, combat fatigues. There's enough evidence, all right, to at least be like, hey, you know what? Let's not spike Zionists, okay? But no, his fans, here's what they do. They first call me a liar that the tweet's not real. Then, once the tweet's real, they say he's not a Houthi. So, also you're lying. There's no point to which reality catches up with these people. There's no point in which me presenting facts, disputable facts, will change their mind that whatever they're obsessed with is real, and that me, a Zionist, is lying. That's the beginning, and that's the end. Maybe, and then I see people, the next part of the argument is this. So, you're lying, it's not a real tweet. Okay, it's a real tweet. Well, he's not a Houthi. You're lying about that. Okay, fine, he might be affiliated with Houthis, but Houthis are actually awesome. I've seen Hasan say that a lot, and I'll show it to you as I move on. Houthis are awesome. I've even heard people, the likes of Norm Finkelstein, saying that they should be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, the Houthis. And Hasan very much is a fan of the Houthis, which I'll show. Let's start with the Houthi flag. Here is their official flag of the Houthi terrorist organization. It says, Allah Akbar, to America, to Israel, curse the Jews, victory to Islam. This is their flag. This is their pirate flag. What do you call it? There's a name for that. It's like a catchy name for it. I think someone said, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's their pirate flag. Now again, a Jolly Roger, thank you guys. Now again, death to Israel, curse the Jews. Not a great distinction between Zionism and Jews. And this is basically their flag. So, I mean, this is equal to people who are trying to tell me, like, Hamas revised their charter in 2000.
He's coughing every 10 seconds. I think he has like acid reflux or something. I don't know.
2016. So therefore, they no longer want Jews. It's like, give me a break. You would never run this kind of defense for the obvious dog whistling that you see by terrorist organizations. If it was about any other minority group, you know, they changed their, actually, they didn't change it. They added a new chapter. They didn't even change the original charter. It still stands as it is, unedited. But they added like a new chapter that's like, actually, we don't hate Jews. We just hate Israel. In 2016, when they realized how important the information warfare was happening online, on TikTok, on Twitter, and of course they were right. We can all see that they've been very successful in that, in spreading that. It's gone all the way up to Hasan, which is now accepted form of discourse that Hamas somehow doesn't hate Jews because they Anyway, besides the point, this is the Houthi flag. Thank you. Up next.
Yeah, interesting.
Recently, the Houthis were in the news for sentencing 13 to public execution on homosexuality charges. There's a common theme here.
Yeah, this is pretty real from Ethan. I hope he gets to the whole sex change surgery thing in Iran, because that was crazy. That was crazy. I saw that posted in an Iranian subreddit, that clip of Hasan.
In Houthi-controlled Yemen, here they are doing a Heil Hitler. Is there any other...
Houthis and Iranian Shia, etc. will Palestinians. They've been slaughtering Sunnis harder than the Zionists. And I don't know all the dynamics there, but he keeps doing the floppy jazz hand thing with his right hand. That's his Tourette's.
Explanation for this, other than just doing Heil Hitler? Taking an oath of allegiance.
Oh, wow. Either change genders or be thrown off a building. How progressive. True, M60. True.
To the Houthis. I mean, it certainly looks like a Heil Hitler, but okay. Maybe they're just...
Where did all the tankies go from Twitch? Hey, Twitch people, come back, okay? We weren't done here.
Maybe it's just a coincidence that the guy with in their flag right here that says "Curse upon the Jews" is doing a Heil Hitler.
This is a little bit concerning here. What is this? Are they actually doing the salute here? Like what's going on? I like that you guys are now identifying yourselves as tankies. At least we're going to step in the next direction. Okay, I appreciate you all being here. Okay.
But at any rate, they're executing gay people publicly. That's not cool. They are taking boats indiscriminately. Another talk about you hear about these terrorists is that they're only targeting Israeli-controlled ships affiliated with Israel. In fact, Houthis are taking boats indiscriminately. They are terrorizing the entire sea there. And once again, a huge number of these ships have nothing to do with Israel. Here's an excerpt from this BBC article. The Houthis initially said they were attacking ships connected with Israel or headed to or from there. However, many of the vessels have no connection with Israel. Major shipping companies have stopped using the Red Sea, through which almost 50% of global seaborne trade usually passes, and are using a much longer route around southern Africa instead. So once again, people run defense for the Houthis, Hassan included, saying, as I'll show you later, that they only target Israel ships. It's not true.
Hey, Stardust described tanky. I'm waiting on that. Do you like think the Soviet Union was on the like brink of becoming the greatest country in the world? Is your foreign policy like could you boil your foreign policy down to America bad and everything else good?
Not only that, they board these ships, they take hostages, and then guess what? They disappear. We don't even know where the f they are. They kidnap people. None of them Israeli, by the way. And apparently they hang out and have parties with this cute youth Houthi kid. But other than that, we don't know where they are. We don't know what they want. We don't know if they're alive. And it's just a fun game we like to play with the good guys over at the Houthis. Here's a CNN article about them imprisoning shipping crew hostages indefinitely. Let's take a look here, just for your enjoyment. Hope is fading for imminent return of the international crew of the cargo ship hijacked by Houthis in November. The senior Filipino diplomat saying he's not expected a release date until the war in Gaza is over. Houthi-owned helicopter hijacked the Galaxy cargo ship November 19 in the Red Sea. So yeah, they took these hostages. None of them are Israeli. In fact, I have a rundown of their nationality here. Hostages taken from the Galaxy. Yeah, thank you. The hostages comprise of 17 Filipinos, 2 Bulgarians, 3 Ukrainians, 2 Mexicans.
Oh, good one, Testy. Do you think Russia was justified in invading Ukraine because of NATO aggression? That's a good question. The Soviet Union was pretty based that one time they got when Gorbachev was in a Pizza Hut commercial. Yeah, true. So true.
And 1 Romanian. 22 hostages, 0 Israelis, 0 Americans. I mean, even the only European one is Ukrainian. Yeah. And so, what did I say?
Oh, you know what? If you have a better definition, Raven Soul, feel free to educate me, okay?
What did I say? Anyway, what I meant to say, 2 from Bulgaria and 1 from Romania. That's correct. Okay. Excuse me. So they've taken a ton of hostages, none of them even relevant to this conflict, and they are holding them indefinitely, and nobody knows what's going on with them, if they're alive, if they're dead, if they're being treated well, if they're being mistreated. It's a mystery. They're probably trying to shake down countries, sell back the hostages, or just, I don't know. But that's what's going on with the great guys over at the Houthis, kidnapping random working class people from random countries. And by the way, may I say
That's true.
Crew is extraordinarily multinational. I mean, we should be what a global workforce they have there. Excuse me.
Good point. It is kidnapping literally working class people and terrorizing them. Fun stuff.
Here it gets better. The Houthis have been arbitrarily kidnapping aid workers helping in the famine in Yemen. There's a terrible famine happening in Yemen. Terrible, terrible humanitarian crisis. But the Houthis have decided to start arbitrarily kidnapping people who are there to help the humanitarian crisis. They're charity workers. And once again, just like the hostages, they're kind of just disappeared. They don't know where they are, what's happened to them, if they're dead, if they're alive, if they're safe. They just kind of took them, and that's that. This is a press release from the United Nations. Just to read a quote here. The targeting of humanitarians in Yemen, including arbitrary detention, intimidation, mistreatment, and false allegations, must stop. And all those detained must be released immediately, they stressed. Yeah. So they're not, frankly, trying to help the humanitarian crisis happening in their country. And it's tragic. It really is. These are not good people. In fact, they're quite evil, it seems. So with all that being said, I feel like I've established that the Houthis are a terrible group of people. I'm sure there's a million other things I could say about them.
True.
But Hassan interviews this kid who is almost certainly affiliated with Houthis and asks him a few hard-hitting questions. Let's take a look at some of them.
Okay, this is a stupid question. Okay, you can preface it with that. Does he know what One Piece is?
اول شيء بقول لك انه ممكن هذا السؤال بسالك تعرف شو هو ون بيس عمرك سمعت بون بيس
اكيد يعني مشاهد ون بيس لوفي
Luffy?
yeah he said he's been watching it since he was a kid
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes. That's fire. That's so fire. Oh my God. We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell
Oh
him that.
my god, dude. It's so cringe when I hear it played back again. I can't do it, dude. It's so cringe. You have no idea. I cannot believe he actually said those words. I cannot believe he actually said those words. Oh, it's so cringe. Okay, guys, by the way, reminder, okay, I have tweeted that I'm live. I would greatly appreciate it if you liked and retweeted my tweet, okay? That helps boost my visibility, and also please like the YouTube stream. Press the like button, okay?
انه اللي
So this is a meme he's saying. The Houthi pirates are like Luffy. Luffy, of course, is this irreverent, fun-loving, happy, lovable character who's
Just rewind it then, yeah.
He said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes, yes. That's fire. That's so fire. Oh my God. We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
بيقول لك حسن إنه اللي
so this is a meme. He's saying the Houthi pirates are like Luffy. Luffy, of course, is this irreverent.
Zoo, nobody is saying that there weren't like good scientists from the Soviet Union or whatever. But did people starve and die? Yeah, that's why I'm not into that. I like food too much.
Fun-loving, happy, lovable character who just wants to experience freedom on the high seas. And it appeals to youth, appeals to young people. And Hasan is working overtime to convince people that this child, who is a terrorist, not child, he's like 20. This kid who's a terrorist is just like Luffy. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I've only seen halfway through One Piece. So no, but I don't remember Luffy flying this Jolly Roger. Death to America, death to Israel, curse to the Jews. That was not on his,
to the same
Jolly
extent
Roger.
as
But
they have
once again,
in
there's time for it to
Soviet
change.
Russia, Zoo.
There's a big tone change in the second half.
Not to the same extent.
You know what I'm more interested in than sewing out that he's seen an episode of One Piece? The fact that he admitted to spending time with Chinese vessel hostages that were kidnapped by the Houthis. You know, that would warrant a good follow-up question. But it's unabashed pro-terrorist propaganda that he's chosen, and that is what we're witnessing. This whole interview is frankly disgusting, in my opinion. It's shameful. Twitch should be ashamed.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I don't know how he continues to show terrorist propaganda. It is quite alarming, and I genuinely don't understand it. And that's not even the worst of it. We'll continue. This is from yesterday. Yesterday, okay? He compared this kid to Anne Frank. Let's take a look. Is this from yesterday? Yeah, it's from yesterday. It's a conversation with Asmongold. Announced, by the way, in the strongest terms. The man said insanely terrible things, accusing Arabs and Muslims of coming from an inferior culture. Is absolutely pathetic and something that I deeply disagree and oppose. Okay. That being said, in this conversation, this is what Hasan told him about the cute Houthi pirate.
From Yemen, okay? Who everyone called, myself included, called Tim Houthi Charlemagne or Chalamet.
Is that the One Piece one?
Yeah, exactly. Now this kid is like, I think he was like 19 at the time when I talked to him, which means that for most of his life he has withstood, right?
Sure.
Like he is a person whose only experience is like, it's literally like talking to Anne Frank, basically. Okay, being able to talk to Anne Frank in real time.
Once again, I find this comparison insidious for a few reasons. First of all, I don't remember this page from Anne Frank's journal, but again, it's been a long time since I read it. I don't recall this picture of saying, you know, we will.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to pause for this. Asmon is in fact destined with a traumatic brain injury. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Stardust, British people killed billions of people in India. Yeah, I'm aware, Raven Soul. I'm aware. That doesn't mean I glorify everything that India does. Like, that doesn't mean I glorify everything the opposite person does. Every country has a history of violence and oppression of some type, but I don't even know what to say in response to this. It's just crazy. That's just crazy.
Spike all Nazis all Germans through the asshole and mouth and wish them a gruesome. Wasn't in there, actually. Also, I find that conjuring of a Jewish victim of Nazi Holocaust is a intentional play to further blur the line.
Stardust is Indian. Why act like she doesn't know? Did I say that? You said USSR starvation was the worst. Not even close. When did I say it was the worst? When did I say it was the worst? I said the USSR killed their own people with starvation. Like, I don't even know what to say. I didn't say that the USSR's starvation was the worst ever. Obviously not. It's like, again, it's the same thing. This person is brain damaged. This Raven person is brain damaged. It's, oh, if you say something's bad, then you must be saying the other thing's good. Or if you say something's bad, you must be saying it's the worst, right? And these are not things that I'm saying. You're just putting words in my mouth.
Of anti-Semitism, and to try to try to exploit the suffering that happened on the Holocaust, once again, not related to Israel at all, to somehow this Houthi kid. He's cheapening what happened to Anne Frank, frankly. You know, this kid, I'm sure, grew up in terrible conditions. There's no doubt Yemen is in a terrible state. However, we don't, as society, as a species, while we can appreciate where people came from and why they turned out the way, it will never excuse violent, hateful behavior, right? We all understand that. We all know that. Anne Frank was an innocent girl whose whole family, including her, except her dad, was murdered by the Nazis. And once again, as I say this, I know people are thinking, oh, well, what Israel's doing to Gaza right now? Once again, I remind you, people who are trying to convince me and others that Zionism has nothing to do with Israel or nothing to do with Judaism, I'll remind you to take a step back and wonder, why is it you're thinking that? Because the Nazi Holocaust has nothing to do with Israel.
And so they starved their own people too.
So why am I being told not to care about this? Because of what's happening in Gaza. Make it make sense. Please. I don't get it. Yeah, I find this honestly disgusting. It's vile. And frankly, he should be ashamed. He should be. And frankly, again, Twitch continues to allow him to spread terrorist propaganda with impunity.
I agree. Based Ethan.
Without even seemingly a warning. Here he is showing 2 weeks ago. This is again, once again, recent. Shows Houthi terrorist propaganda video. The kind of stuff that kind of reminds me of like Al-Qaeda and ISIS propaganda videos that they would put out. That's just like, you know, well, I'll show it. Here's Hasan. And once again, if he's commenting on it, if he's critiquing it, that's one thing. But he presents it and he walks out of the room. He presents it with zero critical analysis, just a full-on endorsement of this terrorist organization right here on Twitch. Now, I don't know if you remember, but basically this is what caused the apocalypse on YouTube, is that ads were showing up next to ISIS videos. And here is Hasan, their darling creator, who has tons of ads running on his channel, showing to his audience, who is willing to receive everything he's saying without much critical thought, no offense, but at least to the ones that were in the subreddit, calling me a liar, that Houthis are awesome.
Yeah, like we took that
2 weeks ago.
You did?
Oh yeah, me and XQC both.
Oh, no, damn,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, we did. I'm sorry, I needed the money.
Oh, you want to see a Houthi musical?
Sure.
These were the people that the Saudis were killing, by the way.
Zach,
Just so you know, these.
The sound pack is falling off here.
It's falling off.
I'll just put it on the table.
Okay.
Actually, it's fine. Yeah. Just make sure it doesn't fall. Put it on the ground.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Here, let's continue.
And musically gifted individuals.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Let me read the words for you to enjoy.
Oh my
And once again,
God.
I feel that we should throw up. We disavow this video, Nate, because on YouTube, they actually don't allow terrorist propaganda videos to play. And I want to make it very clear that I actually do not condone this. I think these guys are terrorists, and they're dangerous, and this is dangerous propaganda, and I'm watching it for critical.
Look, watch this fun musical about killing the Jews. Jesus Christ, guys. Very musical people. Wow.
Is it up, Nate? Yeah, throw that up when I watch this, because frankly, I'm risking my ass watching this clip. Yeah, the Houthis. So he introduces it as a fun Houthi musical.
Gifted individuals.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
We do not care. We do not care. Make it a major world war. Great. Good messaging. Shooting. Their heart longs for master rifles and assault rifles. Very good. Very cool. He gets up and leaves his poor friend there in the trenches, taking Houthi terrorism propaganda to the dome. And I've seen this clip, man. This poor guy has no idea what's going on. He's obviously not very savvy with politics.
Funny, dude.
And this man just left him like George Bush when he heard
This
9/11.
was so funny to me when this happened. This clip was playing, and I was like, bro, are you serious? What is happening?
11 happened. You know what I mean? By God, I forbid myself this life. Ask your excellence in your high. They're showing what's his name? MB, the king, the new guy of Saudi Arabia, the crown prince. Apparently they want to kill him. There was a war there, and they want to kill him, so that's why they're showing him. MBS? Yeah. Yeah, he's just talking about their military campaigns, and this poor guy, I wish I had this at a higher quality. See, this poor guy is like, what the hell is happening right now? Yeah.
AB said he was going to say something at the end.
By the way, notice the age of these kids dancing with guns and rifles. And how old
They're
would
like
you say these
15.
kids are here?
14.
To me, they look 15. Just saying. The Houthis have child soldiers. They recruit them. They encourage them. It's part of their army. And he, terrible as lifespan, well, he's not even a child soldier at this point. He's like 20. Hasan comes back from the bathroom. We've now digested a minute and 10 seconds of unmitigated terrorist propaganda. Here they are holding up the signs, as I pointed out. It says, "Death to Israel, curse upon the Jews," to America, right there on display.
Oh, that is crazy.
A 3-minute video of. What do you mean a music video? When you said music video, I'm expecting like bad example, Chris Brown dancing. You know.
No. They do like.
What is
they do
this?
musicals. They're very musical people.
Are you being serious?
They're very musical
Dog,
people.
Look, you think I made
This isn't music. I know they're singing, but I'm seeing just guns and shit. This isn't a music video, Hassan.
Oh my
They do
God,
musicals
dude.
about like their actions all the time.
Yeah, that's called terrorist propaganda. They do it to package it in a nice way, to appeal to a broader audience. And Hasan is doing exactly their bidding, more than they could have ever dreamed of. By
It's like Hasan is describing them like like National Geographic. They're a very musical people. Like, what? Are you serious right now? What is happening?
Directly into the main line of Twitch.
And they love walking over. They love walking over like the American flag and the Israeli flag side by side. They will always like march on it. I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
We stormed Al Dude, military, Saudi military style. Again, they're just talking about their military exploits at this point.
What song were you saying? They do not care about the heavy missiles. Like they will literally take the war to them no matter what.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. And once again, sharing very supportive, flowery, supportive language about the Houthis, who, as I shall, is a disgusting, vicious terrorist organization.
It's an act of, for them, it's an act of resistance. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
The leftist.
This poor guy, man. He did not sign up for this.
He's in OTK. And
I was wondering who he is. He's pretty funny.
Yeah, Nick Pollum.
Is he a wild-
But Asman thinks throwing gays off buildings is inferior. Contact Progressive Auto Insurance. So true. Don't you think your title's a little insensitive due to the topics being talked about? What title? God, dude.
player?
Back in the days, yeah.
What does he do?
Yeah, it's
He's a gamer.
Originally a WoW player.
I don't know anything about him, but I thought he was very funny and likable in these clips.
Yeah, he's great. He's a funny guy.
Oh my God.
He wasn't mean to Hasan, by the way, or like judgy. He was just like, what the f is happening? So he handled himself pretty well.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Oh man.
Yes.
You know what? I also took a McDonald's sponsor and I drink Starbucks.
It is big drama.
I'm sorry. Don't hate me.
Good job.
So there it is. Yeah. That right there. Something similar to that caused the apocalypse on YouTube. Twitch, however, I think it's officially sanctioned by the CEO. I say that because he said Hasan's his favorite streamer. You really see filmed forcing the Twitch staff
Oh,
to
really? Let
wish
me
him happy
see.
birthday.
I'll keep an
Seems
eye on
by
him.
accounts to be a big Hasan supporter. And God bless him. You know, he's the CEO. It's his ship to steer. Interesting choice, though. Now, when I saw this interview, I thought surely this is too far. Like something's got to give. He'll maybe get at least like suspended for a day or two, just so that just to make a point. Like, hey, let's chill out on the terrorist propaganda. Nothing, and their continued basically silent support of him has emboldened him, in my opinion, to get even more reckless and ridiculous with his platform. We'll move on to the next part. Moving on to this, he shows him another Houthi terrorist propaganda video of them hijacking. Oop, I'll dock 1 sec here, guys. 17.5. Oh, should I close my?
We're very loose on banning here, Hambone.
He shows him
It
a
was
video
a joke.
of when they board this vessel via helicopter and kidnap all these workers from different countries unrelated to the conflict in Israel.
If he does something
The
against
galaxy.
TOS, I'll definitely ban him, though. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Yeah, it would be this one right here. Thank you for waiting patiently.
We have the, yeah, here it is.
How should I pull this up? Should I download it? Here, let me just download it. Sorry, this was kind of put together the best I could with what time I had. Here it is, downloading. So yeah, here he is presenting this entire video. Once again, with zero critical commentary. In fact, the opposite. Blatant encouragement and enjoyment.
We have the, yeah, here it is.
This is Rust.
Bro, look at this. They got the Palestinian flag that they painted under the helicopter with the Yemen flag. They start overtaking the ships. And they're like, guess what, dog? No more trade to Israel.
This guy looks like he is not happy to be there. Like what is his name? Nimple or whatever? He looks, he's like, what the is going on? He's like literally thinking in his head, what the fuck?
If you're an Israeli, if you're owned by an Israeli corporation, or if you are actually sending ships to the Israeli port of, it's not Eilat, it's the other one that is now bankrupt.
It's Eilat
but
that is suffering.
What was the other port? Haifa, right? Is it Haifa? Is Haifa the bankrupt one? Anyway, there's a lot of information. I can't recall all of it. But they go, if you are sending ships into Israel, if you are owned by an Israeli subsidiary, if you're owned by an Israeli corporation.
Yeah, this is not what I signed up for. Yeah, exactly. He's like, oh, I thought we'll have a fun conversation with political streamer Hasan. I wasn't expecting him to show me propaganda.
We're going to take over your ship. You cannot use this trade route anymore. Guess what, bitch? It's our territorial boundary, and we're going to enforce this until you stop doing in Gaza. Because they say it. They're like, listen.
The problem so far, of course,
we're not a fan of you.
Is that
okay?
He's either wrong or intentionally lying, although he's pretty savvy, so I have a hard time concluding anything but that he's intentionally lying. Because, of course, a huge portion of the ships that they've attacked, commandeered, have nothing to do with Israel.
He's trying to be polite, I guess.
And I'll also say Israeli imports are slightly affected, but totally fine. West Africa and poor countries like that are the ones being hardest hit by this terrorism, raising the cost of food on the poorest countries that need it the most, and limiting their access to. But the problem here is, of course, that he's just straight up lying. They don't just target Israeli ships. They're attacking everybody. And that's called terrorism. And apparently, as long as you put a Palestinian flag in your
I think we
terrorist
should ban
propaganda video,
Time
and say
Cutter.
you're doing it on behalf
I think we should ban Time Cutter. I don't understand what he's saying, and I think he's just trying to push the envelope more and more. So let's just ban him.
of them, you get a pass. In fact, the Palestinian cause is an important cause, one that I support. As I've said, I've donated, I support. I
Yeah.
desperately want the war to
Hell
end.
yeah, dude.
And I'm heartbroken by all the tragedy I see there. But certainly, I don't see how this is helping anybody. And of course, he's lying. He's doing Houthi propaganda by lying about what they do and who they are.
This is a group of people that are like, no, we care about the Palestinians. We don't want you bombing them. So we're going to take action. And we're going to try to punish you economically to the best
Hambone, I didn't say any of those things. Don't put those words in my mouth.
of our ability. And by God, they started doing that, and they were doing it real well. So they started taking over these ships. They started targeting the ships.
Appreciate that the flowery language.
They're
He
like,
loves
hey, where
it.
are you going? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And if you're trying to get in there, we're going to find you.
Are there people on this helicopter right now?
Yes. What do you mean? Of course there are people on this helicopter. What do you think, is a drone?
Kind of, from this angle.
No, there are people on this helicopter.
Rude.
This is
By
like
the
a
way,
hostile
rude,
unit
Hassan.
streaming?
It does kind of look like a drone. Just saying. It was a reasonable question.
Yeah, they're flexing.
Here they are.
They're coming in hot with guns.
Yeah, but you have to understand this.
Literally,
is a distraction, right?
literally
So like they're
a
going
CSGO
to film it
campaign. I feel like there's one of these maps for sure.
Modern Warfare.
Modern Warfare. Play.
and show it to the world. So like other companies that don't want to risk having this happen to their product.
Look, if you guys don't like my chat, you don't have to be here. I appreciate you being here and giving me engagement, but you don't have to be here. Yes, Stardust is covering the Twitch crash out. My dreams are coming true. Hey, Glitterbot, how's it going? Going against your narrative. What narrative, Raven Soul? What narrative?
Having this happen to their ships literally are like, okay, we're not going to use the trade route anymore. All of a sudden, if you don't use the trade route, trade gets more expensive for the West. All of a sudden, if you can't use that
It's
trade
expensive
route,
for everybody.
the Israeli port
Once
is going to
again,
get banned.
a totally ridiculous reading of the situation. It doesn't just get expensive for the West, and the West can afford it. The West,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's the
West
poorer
can afford it.
countries,
It's the
West
poorest
African
countries.
that it gets expensive for.
African countries, I bet like some of these Southeast Asian countries are probably suffering the most from this stuff. And also because now all of these ships are having to divert their routes, goods are becoming much more expensive for poor countries. So
That it hurts them way more. And in fact, like I said, Israel imports are relatively fine.
Bankrupt. Israel is not going to be able to get the materials in time that they need for waging their war. Israeli society is going to start getting upset. They're going to be like, I can't get my treats. I can't get my Amazon Prime deliveries. What the is going on? I hate this. Israel sucks. I'm leaving Israel. That's the goal.
But again, I just have to comment, just kind of almost as an aside, but getting people to leave Israel, like 80% of the people in
But, like-
Israel are citizens who were born there. They don't have anywhere to
Yeah.
go. This is part of the problem with this conversation that I have to explain to people. The Israelis cannot go back to Europe. There's literally nowhere else in the world for them to go. As I said, Elah's parents were born in Israel. So it's like, the country's been there
Yeah.
almost, coming
it's multiple generations of people who were born there and know nothing else. Yeah.
up 100 years. They like 80% of the people were born there. Okay, who's leaving? And I guarantee you, the people in Israel would love to leave if they could. I'll tell you, I've known a lot of Israelis who are able to immigrate to America, and that's like the dream there. Trust me, you think they want to be there? Most of those can't wait to get out of there if there's any chance. That's the truth. You know what I mean? Do we have the full video? I'm curious to finish because well, anyway, I'll just describe it. The rest of the video shows them going through the ship with their guns drawn and essentially hog-tying these workers and taking them hostages. Once again, from a grouping of countries, none of them Israel, America, or even Europe, with the exception of Ukraine. Most of them Filipino. Those guys are like, what did I do? Thank you, Dan. Here it is. This is the video. And again, let's throw up the disavow, because here on YouTube, at least when you show
Apparently
when you
Hasan
show
is responding
terrorist
to it
propaganda,
live right now.
generally results in an issue. I'm presenting a critical commentary. And of course,
We'll watch
This
it
is the rest
after
of the
this,
video.
okay?
yeah, they're just going through the ship, kidnapping people, taking the boat, yada, yada. It's the whole thing. And so this is, again, the people that Hasan is uncritically hyping up as some kind of heroes. And
Go
totally,
Luffy, yeah,
and by
well.
everyone you saw in that video, by the way, who was being kidnapped, missing, unaccounted for. Where are they? That's part of the fun of being kidnapped by Houthis. Nobody knows. Where are the aid workers working in Yemen who are arbitrarily detained? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
These are not good people. These are terrible people. These are religious zealots. These are violent, terrible people that are making the material conditions in Yemen, as far as I can tell, even worse in an already terrible situation. And Hasan is here running cover for them, whitewashing them, making them palatable to the audience in the
Absolutely.
West. And all of this, once again, reminding you of their flag. It says, "Death to Israel, curse upon the Jews." All of this contributes to a rising sense of anti-Semitism, of
Absolutely.
unsafeness that Jews feel around the world. And this, once again, blurring the line of the phrase Zionist with Jew.
Did they do a musical with the hostages after this? Did they teach them the choreography? I don't know, M60. It's a good question.
So there is that. Let's see what else we got here. Catch back up to my spot. Deleted this part. And then, of course, our lovely terrorist, cute terrorist here, was quick to embrace the meme. Now, I watched that interview with him. Even Hasan said in the interview that he was surprised by how media trained he was. So why is everyone going to be like, oh, he said he's not a Houthi. He said he doesn't hate Jews. This man said in his interview he's surprised by how media trained he is. They know what they're doing. Propaganda is a big part of their arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're very good at it. But for some reason, when it comes to talking to this obvious terrorist, Hasan's like, hey, man, I'll just take him at face value. He's super media trained. He won't answer any of my questions, but I guess I believe him. Give me a break. Here he is, quick to capitalize. He said, I do not know who designed the picture.
I appreciate that,
If someone wants to
Hambone.
join us in the operation of Israeli ships, we welcome you. Again, not 0 Israeli ships, which is funny. Propaganda, lies. 0 Israeli ships. And here they are, the two amigos. Although in this case, they'd be not amigo. They'd be pirates. Thank you. Here's another one. He's loving it. Let's get this dude a Nobel Peace Prize, by golly.
Does anyone understand
Israel, we are coming.
why they believe that wiping out Israel is the solution? Surely they understand there are victims there too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why they think that.
We are coming, ready for anything. And yes, just like Houthi, or just like Luffy. Luffy.
Thank
It
you,
does rhyme.
BFF Shotgun.
Maybe there is more resemblance. But yes, unfortunately, it's hard to pull all of his tweets, although I found enough of them, clearly. But he was banned on all social media platforms. A lot of people tell you because he's being silenced, because the American government is what yada yada, corporate businesses, whatever. I mean, he was
And
posting
Frank,
death threats.
by the way,
against,
true.
He was posting death threats. So I think we can all agree that's probably a good thing there. So I don't know how many people still think this kid is awesome and cool, and let's keep hyping him up. He's the man. Hasan clearly believes that as early as yesterday. He compared, once again, a reminder, compared this kid to Anne Frank. Yes, Anne Frank, who, once again, important to say, has nothing to do with Israel. Think about how you do that in your brain, and you'll realize the problem. Anne Frank was in an attic with her family, hiding from Nazis. Her entire family, including her, were killed, except her dad. She wrote about like peace and philosophy and all. She was a lovely young girl that wrote about lovely, beautiful thoughts in her diary. She persevered through all of it with like a very positive, hopeful outlook. And that's part of what is so striking about her diary that makes it such a time-held read. You know what I mean? This kid is a terrorist and he's posting threats on Twitter. Again, I know it's like, it's not, it's Saudi Arabia that's doing the on Yemen, right? That's the war. Israel's never invaded Yemen. So it's like, it's almost like he's being like, oh, he's getting headed. I don't know. It's all kind of a little nebulous.
Interesting.
All the Gulf states were attacking Yemen, with U.S. support. Okay. Of course, we had something to do with that. But regardless, I don't know. Now, if you want to compare a kid, whatever. Okay, I'm not going to split hairs here. So once again, when you say Zionist, I would love to know, what is it you mean? Do you mean it like the Houthis? Mean it? Or do you mean it like a liberal Israeli talking about Western settler expansionism? This is a conversation that needs to happen. That's not happening. In fact, when a Jewish person like myself says that this is a conversation that needs to happen, I'm overwhelmed with comments telling me that because of what's happening in Gaza, we just don't have the bandwidth to care about that right now. Or, say what? All good? And I mean, listen, I don't even need to list. You guys have seen it, okay? You've seen it. You know what happens. So let's see. There's a few more. There's one other topic here, I think. This is a bonus meme. Unrelated, but I think it's important. Actually, no, it's related. Fuck it. I'll say it's related. Or let me download it. This is worth it. Stand by. Download blocked? What the hell? Let's do that.
Fast forward.
Show my screen. Oh, let's see if that works. It's good. I mean, it's in the dock. Or it's in the... This is so needed right now. You can get a limited edition. As you can see...
On denim.
Yeah, that's a collector's item.
Yeah, man. People are lining up to get this yarmulke. Can you imagine going up to synagogue with this shit on your head?
Showing up
Oh
to
my
Shabbat
God.
dinner.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, man.
There you go. See, it was worth it.
Oh,
Thank you.
you go for Yom Kippur service wearing that.
It's crazy.
My God,
crazy,
dude.
dude.
That'd be terrible.
So, Doc 13. Okay, thank you. Doc 13. There's one more post here before we move on. When I started posting about this stuff, I always deal with this. So, again, this is part of why I just need to talk about it. I know you guys don't like when I talk about Hasan. Well, I appreciate there's a lot of crossover, and I'm grateful to those of you who are able to watch us both. It's impossible for me to ignore that the majority of these people are people coming from his community. Something his and his audience refused to reckon with. Hasan's whitewashing of that Houthi kid, says he wants to spare all Zionists, was frankly disgusting. I don't give a fuck that he's seen an episode of One Piece. I'd like to know why he's hanging out with boat captain Chinese cargo vessels, aka hostage. As more info has come out about this kid being a terrorist affiliated and being anti-Semitic, lots more. There's a lot more examples. Obviously, I didn't pull all of them, but I think I pulled enough. Hasan has refused to disavow him. In fact, the opposite. He continues to prop him up as a trustworthy, reliable, good guy to look up to and to consume media and messaging from. The reason I brought this up is because this was the guy who told me to kill myself on Twitter, and I suspected he must be a Hasan fan, but I didn't know. But then, so Comrade Casey, Hasan fan, the guy who did the initial tweet, Hassan Kader, this is chat from Hasan's Discord. They're all part of this community. I mean, again, just to emphasize, I know Hasan has tried to get them to back off. I know that we're not responsible for everything we do. You know, our audience does. But for some reason, I feel that when our audience goes too far, I'm pretty quick to call them out and to try to stem bad stuff.
That's the way
But
it should be.
Maybe I'm not. I don't know. That being said, there's, for whatever reason, I find that a lot of anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, weird, obsessive harassment is pretty much 80% Hasan fans. That's just the empirical fact of the matter.
Yeah.
But I know that, yeah, Hasan does rebuke the people who say mean things about me in chat. So obviously, not a personal attack, but certainly there's something in the water. Okay? You know what I mean? All right, so moving on to the final part, which is short, is Hasan denying rapes on October 7th.
Yeah, this is actually one of the most despicable things that I've seen, right? This is one of the most despicable things that I've seen. The denial of any rape is disgusting.
Popular talking point, something that I've seen, supported by pretty much the most random, bigots on Twitter to like the most mainstream commentary people. Everybody is somehow caught on or agreed. Once again, just like the Houthis.
92 viewers and only 43 likes. Shaking my head. True. Hey, those of you who are tabbed out and who are doing other things and who haven't pressed the like button on YouTube yet, you better tab back in and press the like button, you lazy. Okay? If you can't even super chat, if you can't even become a member, then the least you can do is press the like button on the YouTube stream. Boost me in the algorithm. Do you want me to be successful or not?
Spike tweet, when everyone rushed in to tell me I'm fake and I'm like a piece of shit and I hate Arabs, are the same people denying the October 7th rapes. And the reason I say that, before I even watch these clips, is like, okay, the UN is often cited source by pro-Palestinian activists and all the rebucation of Israel. Well, here is UN report, Sexual Violence in Conflict, Office of the Special Representation of the Secretary General. They did a mission report on October 7th, sexual violence. And I'll go down, I'll spare you guys this long, long document and read the conclusion, which is succinct and to the point. Conclusion. Overall, based on the totality of information gathered from multiple and independent sources at the different locations, there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence occurred at several locations across the Gaza periphery, including in the form of rape, gang rape, during the 7th of October attacks, credible circumstantial information, which may be indicative of some forms of sexual violence, including genital mutilation, sexualized torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, was also gathered. This is the UN. In the beginning, a lot of people weren't comfortable coming forward. As time's gone on, there's more and more firsthand.
I remember seeing the photos. And there's like journalistic tips that they give for people, especially for like people who do like the open source kind of like data journalism or whatever. And they say, if there are pictures where people are unclothed and they're unclothed, they're naked or they're exposed, and they normally would not be exposed. It's very unusual for them to be exposed. It is very likely that they have been victims of a sexual crime. If there's also blunt objects nearby in the picture, most likely. If their bodies burned, most likely. So, and you could see all of those things. Yes, there was genital mutilation. I remember there was one that he took a staple gun to a woman,
telling their story of watching it happen. And in my opinion, it's impossible to deny it. And the active attempt to is vile. It's frankly vile. And it's just painfully ironic, which this whole thing is, because I feel like the left really cares about racism. They've built the whole platform on it over the past decade, 2 decades, but like all of a sudden, they're nowhere to be found. They're accusing women, just because they're Israeli, of lying about being raped. There are women on record in interviews, in these reports, on record saying, I was raped. You know, it's the problem too, by the way. Generally, if you're being raped by a bunch of terrorists during a terrorist attack, you're probably going to be murdered as well.
Yeah.
Most people raped were probably murdered. But there's still firsthand accounts and plenty of them. And they're being denied. And it's not so much like the anti-Semitism, because once again, I'm going to do my best to separate it. These are Israelis, okay? But it's the disgusting hypocrisy. It's the cognitive dissonance. It's the like MAGA brain. I mean, this is left-wing MAGA. Believing, following dogma before facts, all the way to the end of the game, okay? And Hasan, once again, contributing to this atmosphere of disgusting rape denial, which again, something that over the last 10 years, we've agreed is a terrible thing. We've all said, believe victims, support women. But apparently when they're Israeli civilians, they're lying. Here he is laughing when Kamala mentions October 7 rapes. Let's see.
October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival.
Objectively true.
Thank you for the
Women were
$4.99, H&K.
Now, when she says women were horribly raped, you'll notice Hasan bows his head with a giggle. He's smart enough not to outright say they're lying, but he's signaling to his audience quite clearly, I'll say, this is not a dog whistle, it's a dog shout, that he doesn't believe them. And it's echoed in the chat. I mean, you can all see, and I'll show you guys, that the chat turns into a frenzy of calling her a Zionist and a liar. These are leftists. These are people who support women. Blows my mind. There's no consistency. It's a total farce.
Raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel had...
What's funny about that, Hasan?
Yeah, there's nothing funny about that. It's disgusting.
What do you think his audience is getting from that?
I just have no idea how you can, I don't know. I saw the pictures that morning, right? The woman who is bleeding from her behind, where multiple people were saying it looks like it's a mixture of blood and feces. Multiple people saying, it's disgusting, right? I would never deny other people, when they say that somebody had that there was a war crime of rape or something, right? Would never deny that. I didn't do it with the Palestinians. Why would you do that with the Israelis on that day? Why would you do that? There are pictures out there. You can see pictures of women exposed, blunt objects near them. It's traumatizing. Anybody who's I don't know. I feel like anybody who saw that stuff was traumatized by it,
A rightly raped. As I said then, I say...
Did she really go there? Yeah, it happened, bro. Sorry. Let's go ahead and read the comments. Maybe I'm misinterpreting.
Today, Israel...
Let me zoom in so you can read this.
Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters.
And once again, I don't even think her statement, I think she's doing a pretty good job. She says they have a right to defend themselves, as all countries do. But how they defend themselves matters. That's true.
Absolutely.
Right? I think we all agree. I think even a lot of people who are critical of Israel would say they had a right to defend themselves up to a point, but then it became, this horrible humanitarian crisis with mass murder, right? And so at what point, where is that point, right? But once again, and in recent news, the president put out a warning to Israel saying that if they don't fix the humanitarian crisis happening in Gaza, that they're going to pull embargo. They're going to do embargo on arms. So she's not giving Israel a blank check by any means, And so then they're going to turn on her and call her a Zionist because she said there's rapes on October 7th, which is just factual.
Far too many innocent Palestinians.
Kamal, you stop lying. I hate that they always say that. Is there a better way to... Gross. Oh my God, with these lies. We are so cooked. Again with this. Goddamn, stop repeating this lie. We're still perpetuating this.
I just wonder how many of these people really cared about rape in the first place. I don't know. I don't know.
You, Kamaga. Ironically, this is MAGA behavior right here, calling these women liars in the face of irrefutable evidence, in my opinion. Overwhelming evidence, let's say. God, this chat scroll is so weird. It goes so fast, but then when I click, it doesn't move. Come on now. Jesus, where's the chat? I mean, you guys get the picture. It's easy to go. You can review his chat logs. They're not pretty, and they never are. They're horrible, frankly. Off, no proof. Me when I lie. Once again, these are probably, we support women. We believe women, people. Literally empty vessels of a human being. Justifying, she literally didn't, by the way. She literally said the opposite, that to a point. And then she criticizes Israel. Making this up again. Kamala, stop. This is a lie. It's pretty much every other comment. Lies, you bitch. Black card revoked. I guess this audience has that authority. I didn't know that. Weasley, little liar, dude. Hasan meme. So my point is that like he's signaling to the audience, and they're very much picking up what he's putting out, you know. And once again, without saying anything, look at the discourse happening. Look at the discourse happening. This is not good. This is not good. Holocaust Harris. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Sorry, the scrolling is just so bad, but you guys get the point, I think, by now. So that's just one. There's more. There's another one. Can't help but laugh. Oh, where the f is the other one? I feel like it got erased.
Okay, let's fast forward.
I swear. As I felt, no. Is anyone floundering here? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
The front fell off.
The front fell off this. Which one is that? You have an image. So. 4 hours of sleep yesterday and last night. Not good. My app is yelling at me.
There know a future of prosperity and peace.
Am I tripping? How does that look normal? Tripping me out. Okay, so anyway.
Good point.
Good point.
What rapes did Hezbollah do? Bro, what rapes did Hamas do? What are you talking about?
And I mean, there he kind of said it. He said,
Yeah,
somebody
he
brought
did.
up Hezbollah rapes, which again, I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard that. I don't know if that's a thing, if that's an accusation. I don't think I've even ever heard the Israeli government, but it takes the prerogative to pivot into actually even Hamas didn't rape anybody. And there it is.
Yeah.
Rape denial, calling women who were raped liars. Makes me wonder, what else are they willing to, what other close held beliefs are they willing to throw in the dump in the
Absolutely.
pursuit of fulfilling their dogmatic vision of the world? Seems like a lot. We're coming up on the end here.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see
and one more
Testy is
time-
about to get a dunk in. Go ahead, Testy.
Actually, no, we already did that. I'm going to read a few messages I got that I think were very important and good voices. 19 and 20. Let me read these over real fast. These are ones I shared. Oh, yeah. Okay, here, down. All right. Almost made it through. But, okay, we got this, guys. We got this. Once again, I say I felt like I was battling this war by myself, and literally nobody was backing me up. And it does feel like that sometimes as a Jewish person. And again, with all this conflation between Zionism and anti-Semitism, like imagine being a Jewish student on one of these campuses that's just trying to mind their own business and has like a Star David necklace. They're hiding their necklaces, man. Jews do not feel safe because people don't know the difference. And who qualifies somebody to make that distinction? Who has the authority among us to decide who's the good Jew and who's the bad Jew? You know what I mean? Is it the activists? I've seen videos of them at the encampment on these colleges, and then they go, people are trying to come in and they go, "Are you a Zionist?" Well, what do you mean by that? You know? So this person is going to decide who's the good Jew and who's the bad Jew based on this nebulous statement that means 1,000 different things to 1,000 different people without clarifying what that means. I mean, it's bleeding right into anti-Semitism. It is. And the thing is that they've fully convinced themselves that they're not anti-Semitic. And that's why making this conversation is so difficult, is because the Zionism excuse is perfect cover.
Yeah,
It's
it
perfect
is.
cover. It really is. All right, let me read this comment. We're almost done, I promise. Has this been going longer than I thought? I don't know how long we've been going.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
We're at 2 hours.
Oh, shit. 2 hours of me just doing this?
No, total.
Okay. So grateful of people who are coming and speaking out. And I just said, I want to thank you guys for your support this morning. I genuinely feel sometimes I'm totally alone, constantly being gaslit by my own fans. And I shouldn't care about rising anti-Semitism. It's not real and it doesn't matter. You know, funny how anti-Zionists are so quick to explain how Zionism and Judaism, I complain about anti-Semitism. They say, but what about Israel, etc., whatever. I've already said that point 1,000 times. So then there's one more here. Download. Thank you. We love it. Thank you so much. This was a statement from a Jewish individual who left a comment on the subreddit, which I'll read for you here. Being a Jew has been harder than I've ever experienced this year, not just in this community, but in general. I've lost lifelong friends simply because I'm Jewish. If you think that's a joke, it's not. My brother's best friend. My brother is like mega liberal. Like he is like what he wouldn't concede is that he didn't want to destroy Israel. And one of his lifelong friends literally stopped talking to him.
And what is this again? Chat. Which one of you were saying, oh, this doesn't happen? Nobody says this. Nobody says anything about destroying Israel. No, it happens all the time. His brother lost a lifelong friend because he didn't want to say he wanted to destroy Israel. Are you kidding me?
And what he wouldn't concede is that he didn't want to destroy Israel. And one of his lifelong friends literally stopped talking to him and called him Zionist and stuff. My brother. This is happening to every Jew across the country. And I encourage you, part of the propaganda that is really this notion that like there's the majority of Jews are anti-Zionist and don't care about it at all.
No, majority of Jews are Zionists. Like 90% of them. It's the fact is people are taking the word Zionist and twisting it into things that it doesn't mean and completely disregarding that it has multiple meanings. There are different flavors of Zionism.
Not anti-Semitic. I encourage you guys to talk to your Jewish friends, to talk to the Jewish people close to you, and ask them. Because
Could it be possible that somebody could be a Zionist but not want Palestinians to suffer, not want Israel to expand into Palestinian territory, not want the West Bank settlements to go forward? Yeah, it's possible. Could somebody be Zionist in that they, think Israel is fine existing and should exist, but they want equal rights for everybody in that country? Yes, it's possible. You can't just demonize everybody who falls under one label.
percent of Jews in America, by the definition of most of these activists, would probably fall under the label of Zionists. And they see people wishing them all the time, social media, in real life. I have a friend who lives in Silver Lake or somewhere, and there's like, there's like a static protest there of just like Zionists and all this kinds of stuff. And he's walking outside his door, walking through that every day. He doesn't feel, you feel some type of way. I would like to break through that stigma. Genuinely ask the Jewish people in your life how they're feeling about what's happening and listen to them. And I don't think it's going to line up with what people like Hasan are telling you.
Yeah, I agree.
I've lost lifelong friends simply because I'm Jewish. Ethan, I hope you guys know that there are so many.
I've had friends reach out to me who are Jewish who feel like very, very conflicted, right? I have friends who are Jewish who have been pro-Palestine their entire lives and are still victims of anti-Semitism and an increased amount of anti-Semitism online since October 7th.
People who love and support you and who look up to both you for standing up to the insane amount of anti-Semitism we're all facing. Dude, my throat is so... Can I get some throat goat?
All right.
God damn it. I'm hot. Hold on, let me take my hoodie off.
Throated, full-throated.
Let's fast forward.
But I'll take that. I'll fucking pour throat spray. Does that work? This seems so...
Raven, I'm glad you're getting more attention here than you usually do in your Streamer Daddy's chat, okay?
Tastes sweet. Oh yeah, I was reading this. All right, I'm just going to read this through. Being a Jew has been harder than I've ever experienced this year. Not just in this community, but in general. I've lost lifelong friends simply because I'm Jewish. Ethan, I hope you guys know that there's so many people who love and support you and who look up to both of you for standing up to the insane amount of anti-Semitism we're all facing. We look to you guys to feel less alone. And we do. But it's so hard to watch. It's so hard to feel. A portion of this community has gone to complete, and it's so scary to see. Specifically with crossover between us and Hasan's community. Seeing Ethan's Instagram stories right now literally made my stomach drop. Nobody who isn't Jewish understands or even cares. At least that's what it feels like. And I have to agree. This is,
It does. It looks like it, yeah.
A lot of times how it feels. When I'm talking about anti-Semitism and my supposed friend goes on a stream and says like, well, that's not really a problem. It doesn't happen, essentially.
It's a problem. Absolutely.
Everybody knows that's wrong. Nobody would be anti-Semitic. Nobody would dare. I'm off X completely, but the most popular accounts on X that I'm seeing now is just straight up Jewish conspiracy theories.
Yeah, they are.
Just
absolutely
wild.
It's some of the most
Dan
disgusting I've ever
UFC
seen.
Fighter. This guy is such an idiot. And you can be the dumbest nobody and just post the most god-awful anti-Zionist or just full-on Jewish conspiracy and hate. And these posts are getting hundreds of thousands of likes. I know it's Twitter and Twitter isn't real life and I'm off Twitter, but it's hard not to be affected by that. And I mean, let's be real. If that was targeting whatever group you might be a part of, I don't think you'd be so quick to tell people it doesn't matter. No, they're not Blizzarian. There's another UFC guy who's like so evil. He's an ugly. He's just evil as hell. I can't remember his name. Portion of this community, seeing Ethan's Instagram stories right now literally made my stomach drop. Nobody who isn't Jewish understands or even cares. At least that's what it feels like. I'm not speaking about Zionism, Israel, Palestine, or anything related to that. What I'm speaking about is being Jewish. Every time I see a TikTok and someone says they're Jewish or wearing a Star David necklace, or people just know they're Jewish, but the video has nothing to do with it, every single comment says Zionist, free Palestine, for a terrorist. And they're right. I challenge you to go to any post related to a Jewish person unaffiliated with Israel in any way and read the comments.
Yeah.
I responded, this is 100% of the Jews I know. We all know it and we all feel it. I mentioned this at the top, but remember during the Stop Asian Hate campaign during COVID and how the left backed them up and everyone rallied around them, rightfully so, of course. But I feel similar things are happening to Jews right now. And the same people who were rallying behind to stop Asian hate are telling the Jews to shut the f up. And frankly, that's how I felt when Hasan made that video saying Frogan's fears are valid and Ethan's are not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that trickles down pretty much to the whole internet. That's 19. This is 20. And this is a really good statement from an Israeli leftist. I thought this was very good. This is right on, man. This is so good. All right. As a Jew, is there even room for conversation with you people? Using the fact that Starbust is being bombarded by pro-Palestine, quote unquote, to ask this. I'm Israeli, born and raised. Grew up secular Jewish, quickly became atheist, left-wing, very active activist. always have been, from a very young age. I must say, ever since I started seeing the shit that Ethan and Eli are enduring, I asked myself, is there even room for us in the left-wing conversation? Israelis who want peace, who act for peace, who dedicated their lives to the cause of ending the conflict, does anyone in the left care about these people? Clearly not, seeing what American Jews who don't even have any association with Israel, with the conflict, have to deal with. Like,
Thank
I
you
get
for
the fuck
becoming a
Israel
member,
sentiment.
Danny.
Probably get it better than any outsider commenting on the conflict, and I do not feel like a victim. But the fact that even someone like Ethan is generalized under the same sentiment brings up a big question. Do people who support this sort of behavior even care about the conflict's resolution? Those of you who read all this, who aren't radical but do not understand why anti-Zionist ideology, such as the one that's being employed against Ethan, don't you see that's generalizing as any Israeli right-winger who voted and supports for our godforsaken government with the sentiment of Hamas, fuck Gaza? Like what? Like what about the constant streams of many videos and photos of 400,000 plus civilians demonstrating in Tel Aviv and across the country for a ceasefire? What about the 2 years leading up to October 7th where Israel was in constant government limbo because half the country keeps voting to have a Nazi in charge? Sound familiar, America? Good point.
Yeah.
And half the country sees his win as the end of their lives, and they know it, which literally did happen for a lot of people. At times it felt and still does, as if we are on the verge of a civil war. Does all that count to you people demonizing Zionists, or do you just want to watch the videos that enforce your hatred? I wrote this in a comment, was responded with similar, what about? Of what about everything that's happening in Gaza, or has been happening in Palestine since the foundation of Israel, and the heinous happenings of the Nakba? I say we should talk about all that. You know where we talk about it? In the demonstrations in Israel, where we demonstrate against our government, screaming our lungs out, getting beaten by police, lighting fires, block roads, and spend every day of the last year plus. If you read about it, you'll see the demonstrations have been going nonstop for more than 3 years, and honestly fighting with more and more of our loved ones in order to say, this needs to stop now. Sorry, my throat is just... I think it made it worse. As a bystander with his feet on the ground, wiki feet on the ground, I can say, from my viewpoint, nothing radicalized the Israeli public more than the inability of the American and global left to include any Israelis in the left conversation. This is a point that I'm so glad is being brought up. Like, when Jews see this stuff, it's really hurting.
It does radicalize them.
Radicalizing people, you know, and it's pushing everyone away from each other in just a really terrible way. As if that is the way to achieve any solution. As if generalizations aren't good only so far. If you ask me, this is the most extreme case of the left eating itself.
Raven and Testy, I think you guys should just get in Discord and hash this out in a voice chat, honestly.
I've ever seen in my life, literally with its own activism, radicalizing and alienating people of Israel, so that we now not only hear any lefty is a traitor in here, which has been going on for years, but also every fence sitter that has ever existed knows that they would be naive forever believing the world doesn't hate us, and if they do it, it must be because of anti-Semitism. Oh, it's interesting. Never heard that one before. And then when I see what happens to Ethan, I'm baffled. Maybe they're right. Maybe it's all anti-Semitism. Maybe the crazy Passover songs from my childhood were right, and in every generation they do come for us. Don't actually think so. But I do see that even an American Jew who's arguably recused his Israeli wife from the fate of being born in this stained, horrible Holy Land, who donated $1,000 to a Palestinian organization, is constantly and maliciously being harassed online for being a Zionist. Do you think people who do that have any desire to have a conversation or an understanding or, God forbid, a positive effect on anything that they actually happen in the Middle East? Or are they all just looking around online for any public personality they know who was forced to have a bar mitzvah or has any association with the Star David, so they can use their new favorite K-word synonym? This is something that I really was trying to get across to Hasan when we first started talking about this. Like, I felt like I needed him to come connect with me at least a little bit. And the thing is, like, now he's full-blown denying rapes. And, you know, it's like, I don't know. Here's another one. And this is the last one. I'm reading this once again. People are trying to obfuscate that, like, oh, this isn't like a Hasan's community thing. I mean, I don't know how else to convince. It is. I might have to leave Hasan's sub. Might get hate for this, but I just want to say that I'm leaving Hasan's community. The struggle between him and Ethan has been hard for me, as I understand it's been for a lot of people. And like I emphasized, I'm grateful to you guys who are able to enjoy us both. And again, I'm not asking you to pick sides, and there's nothing wrong for you, a continued support of Hasan after this. No judgment on my part. In fact, like I said, there's still a road to us becoming friendly down the line. It's possible. For a long time, my beliefs align more with Hasan than Ethan, but I stay with H3 because this show is more than politics. At this point, though, Hasan's followers are honestly so far detached from reality, I can't stay. So many of them are trying to stand for what's right, which is good, but they only see black and white. Nothing in life works like that. There's always gray areas. There's always nuance. Ethan can acknowledge that what Israel is doing is wrong while still acknowledging the pain his people are facing. Hasan's community can't seem to see that there are two sides and that the other side are still people, even if they are wrong in their opinions. Well, I don't think, like, I'm not supporting the Israeli government. I can't follow any ideology that blindly. I don't know what the solution for the war is. I'm not a professional in any area that would have any weight in these matters, as I am sure much of Hasan's community is the same. Yes, I have opinions, but I'm always open to hearing others and learning more. I refuse to be part of a community who think their way is the only way and then choose to degrade anyone who doesn't think the same. It's a shame because I've learned so much from watching Hasan, but I can't take the hate anymore. So, I mean, I heard that
look,
Hasan mods.
and this is a really rough time for Jewish people. Again, I would recommend, like, talk to your Jewish friends, right? They will tell you how they feel about this. It's not right to advocate for the of any people, right? And I don't like Asmongold for that, but I don't think Hasan's innocent in this either. In fact, I think he's very guilty, you know?
Implemented a no more Ethan post. I mean, for the past year, since October 7th, his subreddit has been essentially a second snark subreddit, just dedicated to obsessively hating me for everything I do. I don't know if you guys have been there. But so they've enacted a no Ethan rule, unless it's like directly related to Hasan or something like that, which, you know, is probably a good step towards trying to prevent the nonstop onslaught of harassment that I get from his maniac.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
You know, and even as I type this to you guys now, should I mention the thing that we talked about before the show? Like I feel like I should, but this, unrelated to Hasan.
Unrelated to Hasan, not Islam.
Yeah, so passing non-public Teddy Fresh employees. It's on the front page. It has, last I checked, it had 500. Like, this is not okay what's happening. The reason I bring it up is because in the comments, it's all like, do these people know they work for Zionists? How do these people work for Zionists? And that's part of the reason they're being targeted and part of the harassment they're receiving. So like, this whole thing is connected. The whole snark, the snark page that's blown up since October 7th, people really didn't give a that much about it before then. But now it's like this vibrant community of people that are obsessed with Zionism for some reason. And a lot comes back to that. I don't know how Reddit allows this. I really don't. It's sickening. Let me show you. Blocked us, punished us, and stopped us at every turn to try to stem the flow. My brain is fried. To try to stem the flow of nonstop terms violating harassment. And we're at a dead end. We're completely powerless to these people. They can talk about whatever they're showing this, but wait, this guy's still on Twitter? Oh, he responded to me. He says he doesn't hate Jews. That's great. Super believe you. I guess just link it to me. I don't need to browse this. It's in the doc. Teddy Fresh or non-public do not name linking his Pinterest, accusing him of plagiarism, which is dumb and stupid. Obviously, this is her favorite thing. And linking directly how to harass him. A mod here even has stickied a post further context, so the mods are here and they're co-signing it. In fact, it was pinned as far as I know before it was erased.
If you look on this PDF on the top right, you see the green pin, top right.
Yeah, you're right. So what happened? It's like, is it pinned or is it erased?
It's unpinned and
up their socials, and then they looked up another one of our employees, showed her name, her job at TF. Said, oh, we need to do.
Yeah, no, he's
IDs.
talking about
they're
this.
Making it their point.
There's a subreddit dedicated to basically hating on Ethan and harassing his employees, which is crazy.
To target and harass non-public people. This has to be against Reddit terms of service. It has to be. And it's a long pile of stuff that they've just continually do, and it's all fueled by this same. The reason I bring it up now is part of the same flame of crazy Zionist hatred and this catch-all term that's being deployed against pretty much every Jew. And, you know, when you convince yourself that you're up against Nazis, you can pretty much justify doing anything to them. We grew our whole lives believing like the Nazis were the worst, they're just plain evil, and you can only imagine, you know, what we would have done to a Nazi, that just pure, and so we all grew up with that, this perfect idea of evil. Now the left has, you know, perpetuated this idea that Zionism is Nazism. Except, wait, what is Zionism? Okay, well, everyone has a different opinion. It means all these different things. These people, they say, I'm anti-Zionist, and they're giving themselves all the freedom, all the permission they need to do the worst things imaginable to these people. It's insane. It's disgusting. I hate it. These people are sick, and Reddit is complicit, and Twitch is complicit. Like, I just don't understand what the f*** is happening. Am I just powerless to stop people being, non-public people being bombarded? You know, is this not targeted harassment? That can't be normal.
It absolutely is.
On their front page. I don't know what to make of all this shit, but it's sick. And that's why I bring it up. And honestly, I don't really have a lot more to say about it. I'm sure I missed something because this was whole messy. There's a lot more I would say about Hasan.
Zionist can mean a lot of things, Haji, but people keep saying it's like Nazism and white supremacism, which is not the case. It's not. Look at the resurgence of Zionism and the guy who basically is responsible for the resurgence of it. The reason why he was pro-Zionism is because he saw Jews being persecuted no matter what country they were in. And his thought was the only way Jews won't be persecuted is for them to have a country where they are the majority. And so that it wasn't even like a religious thing. It wasn't like a supremacist thing. It was, we literally get persecuted no matter where we are. And the only way that we can avoid being persecuted is by having our own country. But there are a lot of different flavors of Zionism, right? There are more extreme forms of Zionism, and there are less extreme. And there are people who are Zionists and just that they think that they believe in the idea of Israel. There are people who are Zionists who, if you believe that Israel has a right to exist in any form, you're basically a Zionist, So he literally anticipated the Holocaust. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
But I try my best to keep it only to like the most like straightforward, in my opinion, irrefutable points, which is that.
Okay, what makes something an ethno-state? Like, what? Like, again, 20% of Israel is Muslim. Like, what makes something an ethno-state?
This Houthi kid is a terrorist.
Let me finish this with Ethan first, Testy, and then, feel free to jump
And he
on.
shouldn't be glorified, okay? And that the Houthis are terrorists who should not be glorified, okay? And that Hasan, even though I don't believe he's anti-Semitic, is causing a lot of pain and trouble in the world for people, Jewish people.
This is not necessarily true.
He doesn't realize it.
That's not necessarily true.
He doesn't realize it, but that's what he's doing. And that's why I felt forced and compelled to say that. You ask yourself, what is Zionism? And when you have a definition, you tell me. And then we can decide if I'm one or not, if I should die or if I should live. You guys tell me what's Zionism, and then we can decide if I deserve to be spiked to up the asshole through the mouth, or if I can actually have access to your encampment on college. Like, and the difference between the two is so insanely stark. It's like most Jews are going to have a nuanced opinion about the state of Israel. Literally 90% of Jews. I've personally never even met a Jew that was like, yeah, Israel should be abolished and it shouldn't exist. I'm telling you guys, people don't want to listen. 90% of Jews are Zionists. There is a problem with this term.
Yeah, there is. Absolutely.
And it's being deployed uncritically.
Yeah, no, and that's my thing. Whenever people are demonizing the word Zionist, again, what does it say? Like that you think that 90% of Jewish people are Nazis then, I guess, right?
Yeah, we saw the pin, but here it is pinned at the top of their subreddit. So, I don't know. I don't really want to do this back and forth. I don't know how he's going to react. And frankly, I just want to say my piece. I feel it's a moral imperative for me to do this and to say this. And I understand a lot of people are going to disagree with me for some reason. Some people are going to say that what I did is heinous, that I should be focused on what's happening in Gaza, even though, once again, apparently this has nothing to do with Israel. It's anti-Semitism. But my heart is with the people of Gaza. I pray for this war to end. I'm just so need this to end. It's gone on so long, and it's so terrible. And, my hope is that, like, when the war ends, these people will, like, calm down and disappear. But I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I don't know if these people have just got a taste for anti-Semitism and tastes good. There's a reason that it existed forever. Forever. You name me a time in history when going after the Jews was the right thing. They're Zionists. Okay. Got it. That's all I have to say, I guess. I don't know. I honestly felt like I had no choice. I had to do it. And I'm sorry. And it is what the it is. That's it. You want to say something, AB?
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to this, and it's a little tricky for me to navigate. But first and foremost, I don't want to take away from how you're feeling or what you're experiencing, because I know that anti-Semitism is on the rise, and I know that you are definitely a victim of it and a target of it. And I like Hasan as well. And
well, Hasan's telling me it's not real. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you're not interrupting me. Well, on that point, you're talking about the clip with Frogan, whenever he said that he said anti-Semitism is a form of bigotry that is not accepted, while Islamophobia is a form of bigotry that is accepted. But that's exactly what he said. I think what he was trying to say is that because of stuff like the Holocaust and all the persecution that Jews have gone through, it's known that it's not accepted. Of course, people still do it. It is on the rise. Whereas Islamophobia, it doesn't have like a Holocaust type event. So people aren't as aware. And also just, being closer to 9/11, it's still prevalent.
Based on I hear you. I appreciate your perspective. Obviously, thank you for sharing. And I understand this is probably uncomfortable for you. And I apologize, dude. It's so unfair that, of all the that, we all get for this. That being said, obviously, I wish he said a lot more, if that's what he meant, right? Because apparently, I think words matter, especially when you're talking about something as delicate as that, especially when you're talking about your friend who felt victimized by one of your mods, and just blankly defending her. And I mean, it's pretty easy to interpret the way I did. And I have to say, like, based on the premise, just based on my experience in the world, is that, like, I think our generation is, like, deeply traumatized by what happened in Iraq. And people are, like, mega support. I think in general of our woke audience, like people are mega supportive and aware of Islamophobia and anti-Arab hate just because of what happened, and our generation carries a lot of guilt, right, for what happened. And so I see a lot of people who understand that perspective, right? Like, but what I'm seeing more and more of every single day, I've never seen in my life, is just out and open, blatant, unchecked anti-Semitism. Just out in the open, blatant. It's everywhere. You can't miss it. And so, like, once again, I don't believe that anyone's suffering is greater than another person's. I think everyone's suffering is equally valid. But I do believe that if you want to be as charitable as you can be, he should have picked his words better, talking about something as important as that. In terms of what he said, though, I think he's wrong, and I think it sucks that that's his opinion.
I don't want to say too much because I don't want people to take us talking out of context or try to make it something it's not.
Yeah,
but
we're happily we're friendly discussing.
Yeah.
Before and after, we remained friends, and me and AB are great, and we're going to Vegas together. I'm excited because Lena is back. Your girl is in the tourney. Yeah. But sorry, is there something else you want to touch on?
No, that's it. I mean, Hasan will. I'm sure he'll. Well, I don't know, but he can defend himself. I'm probably not the best at it. Not the person to do it anyways.
I appreciate the voice. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it gives me the opportunity to respond to it too, because
Yeah, I think that was a good one.
And like to.
Based H3H3, no one's suffering is no less or more than others. Yeah, that's true. Testy, did you just want to hop on and say something? Oh yeah, you're in the chat. Let me jump in. Just a second. Hello? Oh, he's deafened. Hello? Hey!
Because I was going back and forth with this idiot, Raven. I did put the Discord link, so I don't feel bad talking to you from way on high. Yeah, I was like not even paying attention enough to the video. I was just arguing in chat. I don't know, I guess it's this mentality. So like all the points that Raven's bringing up is like Israel knew about the attack. And it's like, yeah, there was some intelligence failings. I'm not going to deny that. Like there were rumors and information that, maybe not on October 7th, but there was going to be an attack. And I think rightfully, like, the Israeli government has been criticized for that. Netanyahu is still deeply unpopular. Nobody likes him. His approval has gone up slightly, I believe, since the Lebanon stuff. But regardless, yeah. I guess my frustration is this, like, Raven, you're putting all of the blame. You're like, oh, I'm blaming Hamas and Israel for October 7th. And I'm like, you can blame shortcomings on the Israel side, but like, yeah, implying that it's their fault. Or you're like, oh, well, the concert is suing Israel, so it's their fault. And it's like, no, that's kind of not how it works. Like, the concert was an impromptu target. Hamas didn't initially intend to target the concert, and they just did on the day of. And they slaughtered people. Like I saw that. I don't know if it was you. You know that Google Doc? There is a Google Doc that I could send to you. And, at the time emotions were very high. Like people denying rape and all the rest of it. Okay, you want me to describe the Hannibal Directive? So do you know what the Hannibal Directive is, Star?
I think so.
It's fairly controversial. Yeah, it's like basically that in situations of capture, the IDF will fire upon their own soldiers, or I guess in this case civilians, because it has been confirmed that at least some people have.
Yeah, to prefer to in preference rather than having them being taken into captivity, right?
Yeah, and then and then get tortured and beheaded or skinned or something.
I'm sorry, it makes sense when you've got family members who are still waiting on the bodies of their family members who were taken hostage into Gaza, and their bodies are desecrated. They can't have like a proper like burial for them. They're getting like fragments of their body. Are you serious? Are you serious? Why do you think they did that? Why do you think
it's ridiculous.
Were they tortured? Not only were they tortured, their dead bodies are desecrated afterwards.
Yeah, mutilated, like that girl in the back of the truck. Their legs all fucking twisted up. And so Raven, you keep harping on this thing about the Hannibal Directive. It is absolutely controversial. As a matter of policy, I don't necessarily know if I would agree with that, right? Like, their directive is not everyone, including civilians and soldiers. It is, you try to kill the combatants, but if you're unable to, then it's better than being captured by literally, like, they're genocidal. Like, they want to exterminate your people. Like, I can appreciate the position that they're being put in, okay? And then the other thing I'm asking, which is, like, you just refuse to answer me, is how many people actually died directly from the Hannibal Directive.
Yeah, I would like to know that too. How many people died from specifically that directive, Raven? Do you think it was all of the people?
Yeah, that's exactly like what is the logical implication of you even bringing that up? And I've looked it up. According to a UN commission, there's at least 14 that have been confirmed. 14 people out of whatever it was, 1,200, right?
And because of the Hannibal Directive, that makes what? Everything else justified? I don't think so.
Yeah, the reason why you're so frustrating, Raven, is because you're basically begging the question constantly. It's almost like the just asking questions. You're like,
or the
well,
what
here's
about?
this up thing, here's this up thing, here's this up thing, but they're all disjointed points just to paint this particular picture, and you're not saying what the implications of these things are and what the conclusions of what you're saying are. So, dude, again, I gave you the Discord invite. I'm not mean just to shit on you, but you've been spouting the dumbest talking points for the past 30 minutes, and I got sucked in. So that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to rant and get it off my chest real quick. And I've been accused by, I had a manifesto written on me about being an anti-Semite. So like I can somehow.
I think I know who too, because that person's crazy.
The only reason I bring that up is to say that like I am very pro-Palestine, and I've been extremely critical of Israel and Netanyahu and their government. But when it comes to like the October 7th thing, it just seems like people shut their brain off, and they're like, well, you know, they're occupiers, and there's all this like I use the analogy. It's like if you're basically saying that if a woman is wearing a slutty dress, then at least a tiny bit, she kind of deserves to get raped.
It's her fault for getting raped. Yeah.
Yeah, at least a tiny bit, right?
Here's what I'm hearing. If a woman knows that there is a probability of her getting raped, right, when she goes over to a guy's house, if she goes over to the guy's house and the probability is there, and then she does get raped by her friend, then it's her fault for getting raped. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, she should have known better. Israel, like, they knew the attack was going to come, and they've also, you know, apparently they killed a couple of their own people during a massacre. There's all these little string points that are stitched together to paint this like horrible picture, and it's like, imagine. I don't even think people could comprehend. Imagine something of that scale happened in America, of just like
9/11.
a state.
9/11 is one of those things. There were two women.
Great example.
Yeah, great example. 9/11.
Great example.
There are two women in the intelligence community who were sounding the alarms about an attack possibly happening on 9/11. And, you know, the U.S. is getting a lot of information. And I guess for whatever reason, they didn't really pay too much attention to that. And then 9/11 happened. Does that make it automatically all of the U.S. citizens' fault and the U.S. itself for getting attacked on 9/11? I don't think so.
You know, a perfect example is, did you hear about this case? It was in like some buttfuck nowhere place in America.
I'm a woman and have been assaulted. Try again, Stardust. So have I, Raven Soul. Don't use your trauma as a shield in this. It doesn't work, okay? Don't use your rape as a shield. I didn't use my rape as a shield, so don't do it with me, all right? Sorry, go ahead, Testy.
No. Hey, I'm staying out of that one. But good for you. Or not like, you know what I'm saying. Like, yeah, don't use your trauma as a shield and a sword. You can't.
Yeah, we don't do that here. That's pathetic.
Yeah, there was that case where it was a legitimate terrorist threat. This guy was caught trying to buy AK-47s or something, him and his son, and they got arrested. Did you hear about this? It was maybe a week or two ago. This is the FBI like getting it right. Like they did a sting operation. I think this guy bought weapons, and he had a plan. I think it was I don't remember, on the day of the U.S. election. They stopped a terror plot recently, and this has all been confirmed. And that's the thing, when intelligence communities get it right, you don't hear about it, because the only times you hear about it is when they don't get it right. And they probably have hundreds to thousands of potential threats and leads that they need to follow, right?
Yeah.
Or these things where shootings happen, and then they're like, well, they were known to the police, or like the FBI had spoken to them like 10 years ago or something, like we should have known. And it's like, hindsight is always 20/20. So I don't I think that Israel probably got complacent. More now I say Israel, not as like a people, but like the government of Israel, Netanyahu, whoever was in charge of security, they got complacent. That doesn't at all equate to putting any sort of blame on them for being massacred and kidnapped and all the horrible shit that happened to them. And you can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. You can still say Israel has responded and done things, like things that are that you can demonstrate that I personally think some of them would constitute as war crimes. So
Yeah.
you don't have
And-
to
and
hold
there's-
fucking water for either side. It's not a black and
Yeah,
white.
and there's no reason for them to be continuing settlements in the West Bank while they're in the middle of dealing with what's going on in Gaza right now. Like, how does that affect how does that, affect and demoralize people in that situation, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like you can be critical of Israel for a lot of things, and a lot of their policies. But to act like they are solely responsible for getting attacked and having these mass rapes happen and, all these horrible pictures coming out of these women, with war crimes done to them. Like, it's just ridiculous to me,
It does sound like it does remind me of the Ethan situation. Like that really sad chat where him and Hasan were sitting there and he's essentially just begging for any sort of empathy, of just acknowledgement of like, can you understand that like I have family there? And it's just like on a human level, right? And then Hasan starts talking about like settler babies, and he's like, "Well, how you expect them to react when you're I'm not saying you're a Zionist, but you're making Zionist talking points. Like, how do you like just I can't like it's putting the blinders on and just playing dumb that in no world can you even fathom that type of perspective
And
just because you're so ideologically locked in."
And do you think that you are radicalizing more Israelis against you with your language? Or do you think that you're making them see your side? Because I'm guaranteeing you 100%, any Israeli who is listening to you, left-wing or whatever, right? And I've had some really left-wing Israeli friends be radicalized by some of the rhetoric. I guarantee that your rhetoric, Raven, is only going to serve to radicalize Israelis against Palestinians further. And if you want to work past that and work to not radicalize people against each other, then there has to be a better way to talk about these things.
Yeah, and I like even from the other side of the coin. Like I know this guy from one Discord I'm in, and I say like he's helping anti-Semites because he's a far right-wing Israeli like nut job.
Yeah.
Of like he's the like the land does belong to us. It's like the Judea and Samaria, and it's like the arguments to like history and all these biblical things and all this that is also
I'm sorry,
just completely
Raven, you're
loaded.
not. You're not. I have far left Israeli friends, people who have been talking and educating Israelis on Palestinians and Palestinian issues for years, right? And the shit that you are saying is not the stuff that would help de-radicalize anybody. If anything, it would radicalize them more. I've seen so many Israelis become radicalized after October 7th. You're not doing a good job.
And that's the exact point I'm getting to from the other side. Like, the extremist rhetoric on both ends, if you're saying that, like, hey, these are sand people, blah, 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 when you start talking like that, if you're Israeli, you're losing empathy. People don't give a fuck about you or your cause if you start speaking like that. Just in the same way, if you start downplaying other people's, like, tragedies and you start lumping them all together and you say, well, the Asmon Gold, like, oh, Muslims, Sharia law.
Yeah. That's
like all that
absolutely
type of shit.
disgusting of him, right?
Yeah, all you're doing is pushing people away who would otherwise be reasonable.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went on my little rant. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you joining and giving your rant and
Yeah.
letting me also sound off in the middle of your rant.
And I said it before. Like I've been keeping up to date as much as I can. I've also been following the stuff in Sudan, but like as much as I can, I keep up on this stuff. But discussions like this are just always cancer. I just don't know what it is about this particular topic. Like people like just lose they just lose IQ points in real time, and it's very difficult to have like a measured conversation about these things. But I appreciate that you try to do that at least. So
I appreciate you, Testy. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, no thanks. Or no problem. All right, I'll be in chat.
Have a good one. See ya. Okay, moving on.